Chapter 770, The Fate-Defying Robe, Mount Immerse Grand Illusory Sky Formation. For the Divine Wood Great Formation had taken a long time to complete. From the moment Ling Zixiao started preparing to now, 3 years had passed. Though progress was slow due to physical reasons, the workload was indeed enormous. During these 3 years, Ling Zixiao mostly spent her time setting up this formation. Indeed, if my husband is at leisure, you may watch here. Ling Zixiao's beautiful eyes shone brightly as she spoke. The reason the Divine Wood Great Formation took so long was that, under Hong Lian's guidance, her mastery of the formation path improved a lot, and she optimized and adjusted many aspects of the Great Formation. It could be said that this Divine Wood Great Formation was the pinnacle of her achievements. Now that the Great Formation lacked only the final step, she naturally hoped that Lu Changxing would watch her masterpiece and share her joy and happiness. I'd be more than happy. This was the first time Lu Changxing saw such an expression in Ling Zixiao's eyes. He knew that she truly loved the path of formation from the bottom of her heart. Now that the Great Formation was about to be completed, she hoped to receive his recognition and praise. Good. Ling Zixiao nodded and began the final step of the Great Formation. Although it was the last step, under Lu Changxing's watch, Ling Zixiao still took a whole day and night to complete it. At this moment, her elegant face was full of exhaustion, but her eyes showed no signs of tiredness. In fact, they sparkled with vitality. My husband, the Divine Wood Great Formation has been successfully completed, ranking as an almost 3rd rank, and as long as the spirit vein of Baiyun Peak advances 3 ranks, the Great Formation will also be promoted to 3rd rank. But even as it stands, an almost 3rd rank, no nascent soul immortal could break through, and would even risk getting trapped inside, unable to extract themselves. Ling Zixiao's face was full of joy as she explained the situation of the Great Formation to Lu Changxing. The core of the entire Great Formation was the Mount Sumru Tree King, possessing the divine skills of a Mount Sumru cave heaven, capable of creating a Mount Sumru illusory realm. The illusory realm was connected to the world of the Mount Sumru Tree King's cave heaven and could draw anyone from the illusory realm into the cave heaven to suppress them at will. What strength is required to break through this Mount Sumru illusory realm? Lu Changxing, looking at the Mount Sumru Tree King flowing with gold, amidst the array flags beside the mountain peak, asked aloud. Below core formation, there's no chance of breaking through, only a nascent soul immortal can break the illusory realm. But with the presence of the Mount Sumru predecessor, as long as the nascent soul immortal doesn't break the illusory realm in the first instance, they can be suppressed within the cave heaven. Ling Zixiao said so. She had seen the Mount Sumru Tree King suppress Hong Lian's Ea the Nelfer Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She knew that even a nascent soul cultivator would be helpless within the Mount Sumru cave heaven. In other words, unless faced with a nascent soul attack, a nascent soul immortal coming to Bai Lake Mountain was on a path to doom. Zixiao, open the Great Formation, I'll enter the formation to take a look. Lu Changxing stroked his chin, curious in his heart, wanting to experience this so-called Mount Sumru illusory realm. Just a moment, my husband. Ling Zixiao, dressed in a blue gown, graceful and dignified, softly spoke to Lu Changxing. Then, with a wave of her hands forming gestures and manipulating the array plate, she cried out, "Open." In an instant, a crystalline luster flowed around the Mount Sumru Tree King, shafts of divine radiance spilled out, giving the Great Formation that enveloped Bai Lake Mountain a hint of pale golden sheen. The blue and gold glows melded together, making the whole of Bai Lake Mountain seem semi-ethereal. Following that, Lu Changxing saw a hazy mist of gray fog emerge, shrouding and enveloping him. This is the Mount Sumru illusory realm. The very next moment, Lu Changxing found himself no longer atop Baiyun Peak. He appeared in a place where all sides were shrouded in a hazy and chaotic gray mist. Slash. Lu Changxing slapped his storage bag, and the true Yang 5-element sword appeared in his hand. Countless 7-colored spiritual lights burst forth, slashing towards the murky fog ahead. Puff puff puff. The 7 luminaries' sword chi flashed wildly, fierce and domineering, causing the fog to churn tumultuously and continuously disperse. But behind the fog were layers upon layers of more mist. Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed slightly as he looked at the gray fog ahead and continued to unleash several sharp sword lights. But behind that, there seemed to be an endless amount of gray fog, which was impossible to break through. My lord, how goes it? At that moment, Ling Zixio's figure also appeared in this world. She stood with dignified grace, her face elegant, asking with a smile. Zi Xiao, is this really an illusion? Lu Changsheng inquired. Although Ling Zixiao had told him that this was an illusory realm derived from the power of Mount Sumru, he felt as if he had teleported through a void, entirely in a different world. Yes, this Mount Sumru illusory realm is half real, half false. All attacks are distributed over by Lake Mountain's azure water sky clearing Great Formation, and a portion is resolved by the senior Mount Sumru. Given enough spiritual energy to sustain it, this realm can evolve all sorts of illusions. Ling Zixiao, holding an array plate, spoke out loud. With her words, she manipulated the plate to give a simple demonstration. Before them, the hazy world began to change, transforming into a wasteland with forests and even figures appearing. However, it lasted only for a brief moment before Ling Zixiao let the scenery dissipate, returning to a murky chaos. Because this ability currently primarily consumed Mount Sumru's mana, it was very draining on it. Mount Sumru. Lu Changsheng nodded, looking at the illusion before him, and called out into the void. Immediately, Mount Sumru replied, and a golden gateway of light appeared before them. Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao stepped through the light portal and entered within Mount Sumru Cave Heaven. This divine wood great formation is truly wondrous. With this great formation in place, even if many more try to enter by Lake Mountain, it is but moths to the flame, hurling themselves into a trap. Lu Changsheng looked at the familiar scenery, took a deep breath, and remarked with a sense of relief. He knew that the greatest effect of this divine wood great formation was its fearlessness against group assaults. If a large force were to attack by Lake Mountain, and hundreds of cultivators were to come, as long as he operated the divine wood great formation, he could trap all of them within the Mount Sumru illusory realm. Then he could either slay or suppress them one by one into the Mount Sumru Cave Heaven. My lord, it is no longer appropriate to continue calling this formation the divine wood great formation. Why don't you give it a new name? Ling Zixiao looked at Lu Changsheng and suggested with a smile. Since this great formation is set up by you, Zi Xiao, it's only natural for you to name it, Lu Changsheng said with a casual smile. In that case, how about we call it, the Mount Sumru Fantasy Heaven Great Formation? Ling Zixiao suggested after a moment of contemplation. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 771, 3 Generations 3 Foundation Establishments, The Dark Demon Corpse. _1 inch Mount Sumru Fantasy Sky Great Formation, what a great name. Lu Changsheng chuckled and said, who knows, perhaps the name of this formation will be famous throughout the entire Jiang country cultivation realm one day. Looking at Ling Zixiao in front of him, he suddenly thought of something and asked out loud, Zixiao, now that your body has recovered quite a bit and you can start cultivating again in a few days, have you considered switching to another cultivation method? With several top-tier cultivation techniques available in our family now, I indeed have thoughts of switching to another one, Ling Zixiao said with a light smile. Although the cultivation method she practiced was decent, it was only of the exquisite level. Now by Lake Mountain was not short of cultivation methods, as Hong Lian contributed 2 orthodox-level cultivation techniques and 7 peripheral sect-level cultivation techniques. Among them, there were 2 that she quite liked and was planning to switch to when the time came. Zixiao, which cultivation method are you planning to switch to? Lu Changsheng continued to ask. One is predecessor Hong Lian's sect-defining technique Vermilion Bird Sky Scorching Art, and the other is the Thunder Fire 9 Arts, Ling Zixiao said softly. As a dragon roar physique, cultivating a cultivation method that was exceptionally young and extremely firm would bring double the results with half the effort. And the techniques from the Vermilion Bird Palace mostly revolved around fire, which were rather suitable for her. I also have a few techniques here, Zixiao. Do you want to take a look and see if you like any? Lu Changxing pondered for a moment and said. He knew these two techniques, one was orthodox level, and the other was peripheral sect level, both top-tier techniques from the Vermilion Bird Palace. But as her Taoist companion, he naturally had to show his support at this time. Whether a technique was suitable for Ling Zixiao was one thing, but his own attitude needed to be there. After all, over the years, Ling Zixiao had made many contributions to his family, had nearly lost her life for them, and what he had done for her so far was quite limited. Thank you, my husband, Ling Zixiao said with a light smile, sitting down gracefully beside the table and pouring a cup of wine for Lu Changxing. Ever since Lu Changxing had acquired the skill of wine brewing, he would brew some wine that was beneficial to her body. So she also developed the habit of occasionally sipping a cup. The sword technique I'm cultivating is known as the Seven Luminaries Sword Scripture. If Zixiao is interested, I can teach you. Lu Changxing picked up his cup and took a light sip as he spoke. I'm not interested in sword techniques, Ling Zixiao gently shook her head. She felt sword techniques were too sharp and overbearing, focused too much on killing, and did not suit her. Aside from sword techniques, I have another cultivation method called the 99 Mystical Talisman Scripture. The talisman formation technique I passed on to you comes from this scripture. The main focus is, Lu Changxing smiled and continued to introduce. Sarch * the novel Fire. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The talisman formation technique you taught me, I have not yet fully grasped it, and it involves too much knowledge about the talisman path. I have limited energy and simply no time to practice it concurrently. Ling Zixiao continued to shake her head. She was very interested in this cultivation method. But she knew she didn't have the energy to also pursue the talisman path on the side. After all, not everyone could be as extraordinary as Lu Changxing. I have a cultivation method called the Tai Xing Shui Ju, but this method requires two people to cultivate together. Sister Miaoga is practicing this method, so there's no way I can help you with that. In addition to these, I have one called the Black Dragon Codex, which Bai Ling practices. It commands Dao soldiers, and upon reaching a high level of mastery, one can transform into a black dragon, summon winds and rain, and control thunder and lightning. Another is called the Demonic Techniques of the 12 Divine Generals, gathering the thoughts of the 12 Divine Generals, Lu Changxing softly voiced, introducing the various cultivation techniques he had to Ling Zixiao. Ling Zixiao was incredibly surprised to hear of the techniques Lu Changxing possessed. One must know, a single orthodox level cultivation technique was enough to strengthen a sect's foundation. For a nascent soul true lord like Hong Lian, and a top-tier power, her entire sect had only 2 orthodox level cultivation techniques. Yet, Lu Changxing alone possessed 4 orthodox level cultivation methods, an astonishing feat. Even though she was aware that Lu Changxing had many cultivation techniques at his disposal, she was still taken aback at this moment. However, when she heard about the demonic techniques of the 12 divine generals, her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of interest. Gathering the thoughts of the demonic generals, refining the body, mana, and spirit, worshipping the 12 divine generals, Ling Zixiao asked, "Husband, could you tell me about this demonic techniques of the 12 divine generals?" Lu Changxing was slightly surprised, not expecting Ling Zixiao to be interested in this demonic cultivation technique. He paused for a moment then explained, this method is 1/3 qi refinement, 1/3 body refinement, and 4-part spirit refinement. During meditation, you conjure the thoughts of the demonic generals. There are 12 demonic generals within the body, each potentially cultivating to the same level as oneself, and they can also form formations. Husband, I think this method is quite good and seems very suitable for me, Ling Zixiao said with an elegant smile. As a dragon roar physique, it was best for her to cultivate a method that was exceedingly young and perfectly firm, and also focused on body refinement. As an array master, she always held high standards for her divine sense. This demonic techniques of the 12 divine generals, aside from being a demonic cultivation technique, met all her other criteria exceptionally well. Especially the condensed 12 demonic generals, which could be used to set up formations and implement talisman formations during battles. Zixiao, if you practice this method, you'll have to try to avoid taking action and traveling out as much as possible in the future, Lu Changxing mused after hearing this. He didn't mind Ling Zixiao practicing the demonic techniques of the 12 divine generals. After all, this kind of demonic technique wasn't some heinous method that caused harm to the heavens and others. It's just that the Jiang country cultivation realm is still predominantly an orthodox power. Once it's known that one is practicing a demonic cultivation technique, it would draw trouble. However, practicing a demonic cultivation technique isn't something that can be identified just by walking down the street. Unless it's a few specific techniques, or those that are practiced with blood qi and are too obviously demonic, most can't be detected. They would require special divine skills related to the spiritual eye or specific treasures to be detected. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know at report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 772, 3 Generations 3 Foundation Establishments, The Dark Demon Corpse. Otherwise, the Blackwater Xiahou family wouldn't have been able to establish a foothold in the Qingyun region for so many years, and even become a great cultivation family. This cultivation technique is indeed likely to cause trouble in Jiang country. The technique from Senior Hong Lian also suits me well. I will see how to choose when the time comes, said the concubine. Ling Zixiao was also aware that cultivating demonic techniques in Jiang country, once troubles arose, would implicate the family. There's no need for such precautions, Zixiao, you don't like going out on normal days, so cultivating this technique won't be a problem. After all, this technique is indeed quite suitable for you. When the time comes, you can try cultivating these few techniques and see which one resonates with you, Lu Changxing, holding the hand of his beloved, said warmly with a smile. Since Ling Zixiao was interested in this technique, he felt it didn't matter. After all, Ling Zixiao really was a homebody, hardly ever leaving the house on ordinary days. Sir the Nell Fire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the past at Qingzhou Mountain, apart from inspecting spiritual lands, she never left Qingzhou Mountain. Over the years, it had become even more so, she never even left Bai Lake Mountain. Always at home reading books, comprehending the talisman path, formation path, and setting up formations. In such circumstances, Lu Changxing felt that Ling Zixiao cultivating demonic techniques wouldn't have an impact. Moreover, this 12-capital heavenly demon divine technique was indeed formidable, categorized as one of the top orthodox level cultivation techniques, even more powerful than his own 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture by a margin. Good, Ling Zixiao smiled sweetly, feeling a warm current flowing in her heart. It was true that she could cultivate Vermilion Bird Sky-Scorching Art and Thunder Fire 9 arts just the same. But Lu Changsheng's attitude gave her an indescribable sense of security. 1.5 months later. In the Changxing Hall, inside the secluded cultivation chamber. Boom boom boom, Lu Changxing was sitting cross-legged, with treasure light flowing through his muscles, shining brightly, and a mysterious power coursing through him. His blood roared inside him, making a thunderous noise, accompanied by the sounds of clashing iron and charging troops, as if divine smiths were forging weapons inside his body, ringing clearly and sonorously. This commotion continued for a long time before gradually calming down. 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, 7th level. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his body bathed in golden light flowing with strength, and his spirit was full. At this moment, he was like a divine artifact gleaming with treasure light, radiating an indestructible and brilliant glow, so dazzling that it discouraged all contention. He clenched his fists, his heart thumped loudly, and instantly, a powerful surge of blood pressure spread around him, making the air feel heavier. With my current physical condition, I should be able to suppress that red-robed man now, Lu Changxing thought as he quietly enjoyed the strength filling his body, recalling the 6 robber cultivators from Red Leaf Valley Market. Back then, the red-robed man, who practiced dual cultivation of magical and physical arts, exchanged blows with him evenly matched. Now that he had broken through to the 7th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, with a physique comparable to a superior spiritual artifact, he was confident his body was not inferior to his opponent. Lu Changxing exhaled a breath of stale air and didn't think too much. He continued to sit cross-legged, calming the blood and qi in his body, consolidating his cultivation. Qingzhou Mountain. Mu Ping, you've broken through foundation establishment. Lu Yuanzhong looked at the Lu Muping before him, his entire being filled with immense surprise and disbelief. Even knowing that with the Supreme Foundation Establishment Elixir, Foundation Establishment Spirit Objects, and Superior Cultivation Chamber, Lu Muping had a high probability of successfully establishing his foundation. But at this moment, seeing his grandson successfully break through to foundation establishment still brought him immense joy beyond his expectation. Because never before had Qingzhou Mountain seen such a prosperous condition. 3 generations, 3 foundation establishments. And all 3 individuals were in the prime of their lives, with 100 years of lifespan. I dared not let the family down and managed to break through foundation establishment, said Lu Muping as he looked at his elder with a bowed hand and solemn voice. He knew the family had invested a lot for him to break through to foundation establishment. Good, good, good. Lu Yuanzhong patted his shoulder heavily, laughing loud and tearfully. He remembered how the elder ancestral patriarch of past generations passed on a struggling Lu family to him. In less than 20 years, the family had reached a pinnacle with such prosperity. As long as the family continued on this stable path, there was even hope to go further and cultivate a false core immortal, becoming a great cultivation family. However, he knew that their growth over these years was all thanks to Lu Changsheng. If it hadn't been for Lu Changsheng, he would probably have died by now under the poison of corpses, and the idea of Lu Miaoge and Lu Muping's foundation establishment would have been out of the question. They would have had to rely on that slim chance, risking their lives. Mu Ping, the matter of your foundation establishment must remain a secret to the family for now, and must not be leaked to outsiders, Lu Yuanzhong cautioned again, solemnly emphasizing the instructions he had given earlier. Don't worry, grandfather, I understand, Lu Muping replied respectfully. Now, come with me to Bai Lake Mountain to meet your uncle Changsheng. Remember, you must show gratitude towards him, be respectful and restrained, and do not let the pride of breaking through to foundation establishment get to your head, Lu Yuanzhong advised and reminded him. He knew Lu Changsheng's personality was easygoing and he probably wouldn't mind these matters much. But the closer the two families were, the more he felt he needed to pay attention to these details to avoid creating any rifts between them. Moreover, he was clear in his heart that Lu Changsheng might look after Qingzhou Mountain for the sake of Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Yuanding, 4th elder, and the children in the family. However, Lu Muping and Lu Changsheng didn't have much of a relationship. Thus, it was essential for Lu Muping to make a good impression in Lu Changsheng's heart. That way, even if the elder generation gradually passed away or ascended, the two families could continue to maintain their relationship. I understand, grandfather, Lu Muping nodded in response. Having broken through to foundation establishment, he inevitably felt a hint of arrogance in his heart. After all, breaking through from qi refinement to foundation establishment was like leaping over the dragon's gate, transforming from an ordinary cultivator to a revered elder. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 773, 3 Generations 3 Foundation Establishments, The Dark Demon Corpse. But when he thought of Lu Changsheng's achievements and the changes in his 2 aunts, he dared not harbor even the slightest bit of arrogance. He knew full well that his uncle's strength and methods were unfathomably deep. Uncle is here? Lu Changsheng was in retreat when he received a message from Lu Miaoyun, notifying him that Lu Yuanzhong had come to visit. He got up and left the Changsheng Hall, and upon reaching the Lu family mansion's reception hall, he immediately saw Lu Yuanzhong inside. Next to him sat a 30-something-year-old man with a heroic-looking face. It was none other than Lu Muping from the Lu family. Muping, congratulations on breaking through to foundation establishment, Lu Changsheng immediately revealed a smile and congratulated him aloud. He could see at a glance that Lu Muping had successfully broken through to foundation establishment. Calculating the time, it had been more than half a year since he sent Lu Muping to the Qingyun market. It was about time for him to return after breaking through to foundation establishment. Changsheng. Greetings, uncle. Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Muping hastened to their feet when they saw Lu Changxing. Without uncle, how could I have such an opportunity to establish my foundation? Please accept my gratitude. Lu Muping said, bowing respectfully to Lu Changxing once more. We're all family here, no need for such formalities, Lu Changxing laughed, then helped him to his feet. Afterward, he sat down in the main seat and asked Lu Yuanzhong if he came over for anything in particular. This visit is mainly to inform you about Muping's breakthrough in foundation establishment and to have Muping properly thank you, Lu Yuanzhong began, and continued, regarding the news of Muping's foundation establishment, our family won't announce it publicly for the time being. We will wait for an opportune moment to declare it and hold a grand ceremony. Such matters could simply be mentioned in a message from uncle. There really is no need for trouble, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. They then drank tea and chatted leisurely, discussing some insights on foundation establishment cultivation. In the course of the conversation, Lu Yuanzhong mentioned that in some days, he would be heading to Red Leaf Valley Market to take charge, leaving Lu Muping in command of Qingzhou Mountain. As for Lu Miaoge, she could continue her peaceful cultivation at Bai Lake Mountain. That would be very kind of you, uncle. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing did not offer empty courtesies. He had expended so much effort to aid Qingzhou Mountain in foundation establishment, ostensibly to repay his debt of gratitude to Qingzhou Mountain. But more so, it was for his wife, Lu Miaoge. He hoped that Lu Miaoge could cultivate in peace at Bai Lake Mountain. After the casual chat, the two had dinner at Bai Lake Mountain and then, disguising their appearances, they departed. Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Aside from Lu Miaoyan guessing the news of Lu Muping's breakthrough to foundation establishment, no one else knew of this. Thank you, my husband, Lu Miaoyan came to express her gratitude to Lu Changxing. Although her relationship with Lu Muping was quite ordinary and they were not very familiar with each other, having grown up in Qingzhou Mountain, she naturally hoped that Qingzhou Mountain would continue to prosper. There is no need for such words between us as husband and wife, Lu Changxing held his wife's hand, chuckled softly, and said. Afterward, he and his wife went to the attic to enjoy the moonlit night and have a long conversation. Half a month later, Lu Yuanzhong went to sit in at the Red Leaf Valley Market, taking over Lu Miaoge's rotation. This change did not cause any impact on the marketplace. Neither the Bai family nor the Zheng family had any objections. Officially, Lu Miaoge was said to have returned to Qingzhou Mountain for closed-door cultivation, but in reality, she had gone back to Bai Lake Mountain. Sister Miaoge, now you can properly focus on your cultivation. Once Zi Shao's injuries are healed, we, together with Huan, will visit the Jinyang sect. Lu Changxing spoke to his wife in a gentle voice. Now that the Mount Sumra Tree King was guarding their home, as soon as Ling Zixio's injuries were healed, he could leave with peace of mind to visit their children in Yu Country. Having the children taken to the Jinyang sect for cultivation without even a proper farewell from their father weighed heavily on his heart with guilt. All right, Lu Miaoge replied softly, her beautiful eyes revealing a mixture of longing and anticipation. As a mother, it was impossible not to miss her daughter who had gone to the Jinyang sect in Yu Country for cultivation. Especially when she sometimes saw her sister, Lu Miaohuan, inadvertently show her own longing, which only deepened her sense of guilt and self-reproach. She believed that had she not initially agreed to send her children to the Jinyang sect, none of this separation would have been necessary and perhaps it would have been better for them to be taught by Lu Changxing at home. In a branch of the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Deep within a valley basin shrouded in a sinister atmosphere of corpses, blood, and poisonous miasma. Xiahou Wua sat cross-legged, surrounded by chilling winds. Before him stood a colossal figure with the body of a man and the head of an ox. The entire figure emanated a dense necrotic aura, its muscular, dragon-like body covered with countless black symbols resembling worms or tadpoles, mysterious and terrifying, exuding an intense and intimidating presence. Its lantern-like eyes and the dark horns glinted with a soul-piercing crimson gleam, flickering uncertainly. Darking demon Sha, spirits and ghosts, Xiahou Wuo's eyes suddenly snapped open, blood-red as he stared at the massive oxen corpse before him, muttering disjointedly under his breath. He then formed hand seals, and strands of black chi seeped from his body, rising and spreading like mist. At that moment, the chilly winds rapidly picked up, howling eerily and intensely, like the wailing of ghosts and wolves. Ch. With a forceful slap to his chest, Xiahou Wuwa expelled a droplet of blood, crimson and glistening, which flew towards the oxen corpse. In an instant, a violent, brutal, and terrifying force radiated from the corpse, enough to make one's scalp tingle with dread. On the dark ground, a layer of frost formed as if out of nowhere. Roar, 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 whimper, 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 cages containing demon beasts dotted the valley. At that moment, as if sensing something horrifying, the beasts let out terrified roars, quivering and trembling uncontrollably. It's so cold, what's happening? Such a terrifying and intimidating force. It's coming from the direction of our ancestor. Could it be that he has mastered a new divine skill? In the valley, there were several huts and cave dwellings, home to a number of cultivators. In that moment, they all felt the temperature drop, the air permeated with a terrifying and odd presence, causing an inexplicable sense of dread and breathlessness. Hoo, in the depths of the valley, black miasma rolled and spread, not just around Xiahou Wuwa but the ox-headed corpse in front of him was also enveloped by the roiling black chi. Come! With a beckoning gesture, Xiahou Wuwa summoned several demon beasts that had been prepared earlier. With a clench of his hand, the beasts exploded, turning into hot mist of blood that surged towards the ox-headed corpse. At that moment, the once flickering eyes of the corpse now glinted like red agate, crimson as blood. Boom! Suddenly, there was a deafening sound of thunder outside the valley. A torrential downpour fell unexpectedly. The dark demon corpse, it's finally complete. Xiahou Wuwa looked up at the ox-headed corpse before him and laughed maniacally. But on his rigid, grayish face, a pair of blood-red eyes glinted malevolently, filled with a predatory and cruel coldness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 774, Both Breakthroughs, Zhao Qingqing Attempts Foundation Establishment. _1/2 a year later. Changxing Hall, the closed-door retreat chamber. Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge sat facing each other, with their palms opposite each other, their bodies gleaming, their qi flowing abundantly around them, an august aura surrounding them, as countless streams of nature's spiritual energy converged within them. As the Tai Xing Ju was a dual cultivation technique for Dao companions, their regular cultivation naturally complemented and enhanced each other's progress. In the past half-year since Lu Maiage's return, not only had Ling Zixio's recovery progressed, but the cultivation speed of both Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge had improved significantly. With the gathering of spiritual energy, their qi circulated and merged into one. Boom! Suddenly, a wave of mana and spiritual pressure burst forth from within their bodies as they each achieved a breakthrough. 47 years old, Foundation Establishment 6th layer, Lu Changxing opened his eyes that shone like stars and let out a breath. Go to. Although he mostly spent his time on talisman making, alchemy, and accompanying his wives and children, his cultivation had not been delayed too much. With the improvement of his spiritual root, a sufficient supply of elixir medicines, and the effects of dual cultivation with the Dao Foundation, his rate of cultivation even exceeded that of many who devoted themselves to arduous practice. After briefly sensing the changes from the breakthrough, the total amount of 7 luminaries mana in his body had increased by 20% compared to the Foundation Establishment 5th layer. However, there was no significant difference in quality. This increase was not as significant as the enhancement he received from the Profound Origin bead. Nonetheless, as long as he took another step forward, breaking through to the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment and entering the late stage of the realm, his mana and strength would undergo a qualitative transformation. Congratulations, my husband. At that moment, Lu Miaoge also slowly concluded her cultivation, opening her gentle, water-like eyes that moved with joy and admiration. Hee, congratulations Sister Miaoge on breaking through to the 3rd layer of Foundation Establishment. Lu Changxing looked at his wife and laughed. Because Lu Maiage's cultivation had been delayed over the years, she was still at the second layer of foundation establishment. Otherwise, with his Tai Dao seed and the elixir medicines he provided, she should have broken through to the third layer long ago. Such great joy must be well celebrated. Lu Changxing embraced his soft and fragrant wife with her jade-like smooth skin. After some playful and tender moments together, the two dressed and left Changxing Hall to head towards the Lu family mansion. Yuner, has anything happened at home during these days? Lu Changxing asked his wife Lu Miaoyun. Although he didn't worry about household matters, he still paid attention to some general affairs. Nothing much, Lu Miaoyun replied softly. However, under the guidance of Senior Hong Lian, there has been progress and breakthroughs in the breeding of the king carps at home. She cultivated the heavenly longevity technique, consecrating the luminous treasure tree as her life-bound spiritual root, radiating a vibrant and refreshing life force that was extremely comfortable to be around. Oh, there's been a breakthrough in the carp breeding at home. That is indeed good news. Lu Changsheng's face showed a hint of a smile upon hearing this. Hong Lian, being a third-rank top-level beast tamer, was very skilled in the breeding of spiritual beasts. Therefore, over the years, she had provided suggestions and guidance on the breeding of the Bichon Crimson Carps and Bichon Azure Carps at Bai Shui Lake. For instance, last year's fishing production at Bai Lake Mountain increased by more than 10%. Thus, Lu Changxing was planning to open another spiritual beast breeding farm on Bai Lake Mountain while also cultivating spiritual beasts. After chatting for a while, Lu Changxing took Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun to inspect the fisheries. Greetings to the mountain master. Greetings to the lady. Father, auntie. CTH Novelfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Zhong Yu and Lu Xiaoru, among other fishermen, came to pay their respects. Hee, I heard there's been a breakthrough in the carp breeding, so I came to have a look. Lu Changxing waved his hand and looked towards the fishery. He saw the large carps swimming around. Reporting to the mountain master, the time for the carps to ascend to king carps has been reduced by a full 30%, and during the breeding process, Zhong Yu promptly began to report. You've done well with this. The clan will reward you in due course, Lu Changxing encouraged him. Although the optimization of carp breeding was mainly due to Hong Lian's advice and guidance, it also required the efforts of the people below to implement it. After briefly inspecting the fishery and the spiritual fields, Lu Changxing returned to the Lu family mansion to host a family banquet, lively and bustling. With so many wives at home, it was inevitable that he could not accompany each and every one of them. Therefore, after each short period of seclusion, he would host a family banquet to enliven the atmosphere at home. During these times, he would take the opportunity to chat with his wives and children about ordinary family matters. However, now most of the conversations with his wives, aside from worrying about his well-being, revolved around discussing their children's affairs. For example, Chu Zhenzhen said with a wronged expression that it had been almost 2 years since her son Lu Chuanzhen, aside from writing 2 letters, hadn't even visited home once. There were also his daughters, Lu Yuzhen and Lu Caizhen, who were not young anymore, and it was time to consider seeking husbands and starting families. Don't worry, Chuanzhen is fine. He should be coming home soon, I estimate, Lu Changxing said helplessly. He had the Lu family genealogy and was aware of the safety of the children at home. His son, Lu Chuanzhen, was doing very well. However, he was also curious about the situations of his children who were traveling outside. He wanted to know what kind of experiences they were having during their journeys. I've heard that some treasures can show scenes from 1,000 miles away, or some divine skills can sense the situation of one's close kin through the network of blood. If I could draw such a magical treasure, they'll have more fun and entertainment at home, Lu Changxing thought to himself. He suddenly thought it would be quite nice if he could draw such a magical treasure in a lottery. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about his children being abroad, and it would save his wives from worrying too. Black Stone Market. At the entrance of a secluded courtyard within the market, Daoist Chu, please come in for a detailed talk, a woman in her 20s, with a face like a peach blossom and dressed in a palace attire, beckoned the young man in a black robe with a sweet voice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 775, Both Breakthroughs, Zhao Qingqing Attempts Foundation Establishment. She wore a flamboyant red gauze dress, with a low-cut neckline that showcased her ample, snow-white skin, which seemed ready to burst forth. The dress had slits on both sides, through which her long, fair legs appeared fleetingly. Fairy Zhao, this isn't quite proper, is it? We could have discussed this over a drink at the inn outside. A hint of awkwardness and hesitation appeared on the face of the youth in a black robe. What's there to be afraid of? Or are you worried that I, your humble servant, might eat you up? The woman in the red dress cast a coy look, chuckled lightly, her allure captivating. Then, she extended a fair arm and took the initiative to grasp the hand of the youth in the black robe. Her body exuded a fragrance that tickled the senses, almost causing one's heart and mind to gallop away. The youth in the black robe was taken aback and subconsciously squeezed the tender, boneless palm in his hand. Then, he followed the woman into the courtyard without realizing it. You know, you're quite young to always wear such a stern face, she teased the youth in the black robe playfully, her voice dripping with coquettish charm. Fairy Zhao, go to. The youth seemed a bit embarrassed, looking at the woman before him with a smitten gaze, then raised his palm as if intending to caress her cheek. But the next instant, Poochie! A cold light flickered. A dagger had appeared in the hand of the youth without knowing when. There was no aura of spiritual power about this dagger, it was purely a manifestation of martial prowess. It made a swift cut across the neck of the woman in the red dress, blood spraying out. Panic, fear, and disbelief filled the eyes of the woman in the red dress. She had not anticipated that the youth, who had just looked at her with infatuated eyes under the influence of her bewitching technique, would suddenly attack her. And the pure martial force had been so swift and fierce that her protective magic artifact had no chance to automatically defend her. The beautiful woman fell to the ground with a thud, blood gushing from her neck, creating a pool of blood. The other two friends, come on out. Lu Chuanjun, clad in a black and gold robe and with a commanding presence and sharp features, spoke with a deep voice. Looks like you've hidden yourself well, boy. When did you figure something was wrong? From within the house, a deep voice resonated. Two men emerged from the house, glaring coldly at Lu Chuanjun. I want to know why you two are so persistently targeting me. Lu Quanzhen's eyes narrowed as he questioned the two men with a serious tone. Half a year ago, you killed two of my brothers in the Black Cloud Mountains. You were only at the 6th level of Qi refinement, yet you managed to slay my two brothers. This indicates that you must possess some fortuitous secrets. Thus, whether it's for avenging my brothers or for your secrets, we cannot let you go. One of the men, who had dark skin and was short and thin, looked at Lu Chuanjun with eyes full of murderous intent. The Black Cloud Mountains, two brothers. Lu Quanzhen's brows slightly furrowed, immediately recalling the incident. He remembered encountering two robber cultivators while hunting demon beasts in the Black Cloud Mountains. He continued to ask, I dealt with those two cleanly and there were no other people around at the time. How do you know about it? That was something he found quite puzzling. Because he had disposed of the bodies cleanly and left no trace of himself. It's because after you killed them, your body carried the scent of a perfume I had concocted. Another taller and thinner man spoke up. Perfume? Lu Chuanjun considered thoughtfully. He was sure he had removed all traces after the killings. Stop thinking about it. This perfume is my unique blend and only spiritual beasts can detect it. Now can you tell me, when did you realize something was off with you? The tall thin man asked Lu Chuanjun. It's simple. Your motives for approaching me were too obvious, too eager. Lu Chuanjun spoke indifferently, just like now, you're waiting for the poison to take effect on me. What, you knew we were using poison? The expressions of the two men changed drastically upon hearing this. They had not expected Lu Chuanjun to be aware that they had been using poison. In this situation, he was still casually chatting with them. Damn, this youngster is using poison as well. The shorter and thinner man immediately sensed something was amiss and hastily closed off his pores, summoning his magic artifact, ready to make a move. However, in that instant, SSH. A dark gold puppet appeared, turned into a streak, and tore through the air, raising a wave of turbulence as it appeared in front of the two men. The puppet's dark gold dazzling war blade, like a bolt of thunder and lightning, struck with formidable and domineering force, slashing forward. No, the two men, facing this scene, their pupils dilated, reflecting the cold dark gold war blade, felt terror, powerlessness, regret, and despair. Poochie. Poochie. Their surrounding protective auras and automatic defense magic artifacts activated. Yet against the puppet's slash, the aura shields shattered like bubbles. Along with the sound of slicing flesh and anguished screams, blood sprayed, and two heads rolled. Phew. Lu Chuanjin exhaled lightly. Looking at the two headless corpses, he murmured to himself, "With the treasures my father gave me, such trials still lack some efficacy for my benefit. Without this second-rank puppet and the life-saving talismans from my father, even if I was 50% certain that these people harbored ill intentions towards me, I wouldn't dare take such risks." Lu Chuanjin muttered to himself. Although he had acted decisively, he was not entirely certain of the other party's situation, and whether there were only 3 of them. But as the saying goes, there can only be a thief for a day, not a preventative measure for 1,000 days. Since he realized he was targeted with malicious intent, and had a 3 to 5% certainty, he naturally chose to take action first, to counter their plans and nip the threat in the bud. Without dwelling on it any longer, Lu Chuanjin gathered the storage bags of the 3, burnt their bodies to ashes, and then, after scouring the room, he changed his appearance and left the marketplace. Sir the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 776, Both Breakthroughs, Zhao Qingqing Attempts Foundation Establishment. Although the courtyard was protected by a formation from prying eyes, it wasn't visible from the outside world. But Lu Changxing wasn't certain if these individuals had accomplices, so he was eager to leave as soon as possible. By Lake Mountain. Biyun Villa. Lu Daoist, I am planning to return to the sect and enter seclusion to strike at Foundation Establishment, so I might not be able to come here this year. One day, Zhao Qingqing came to Bai Lake Mountain, inspected the state of the spiritual medicines, and spoke to Lu Changxing. She was dressed in a pale green long dress, her features elegant and beautiful, with a graceful and slender figure. Her bearing somewhat resembled Lu Miaoyun, who cultivated the heavenly longevity technique, exuding a thriving and refreshing vegetative essence. Striking at Foundation Establishment? Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows upon hearing this and asked, "Does Zhao Daoist have the Foundation Establishment elixir prepared?" He knew she had been preparing for her Foundation Establishment for quite some time. Foundation Establishment elixirs are hard to come by. With my current contributions to the sect, I can neither obtain nor afford one. Go to. Zhao Qingqing's face showed a trace of bitterness. 9 years prior, she had broken through to the 9th level of energy refinement and had started planning for her Foundation Establishment. But despite being busy all these years, she had only managed to gather 1 meridian protecting elixir and 2 Foundation Establishment spiritual objects. As for the Foundation Establishment elixir, it was incredibly difficult for her to obtain. Even if she had the chance to earn enough spirit stones and contributions before the age of 60, she would not be eligible to exchange for a Foundation Establishment elixir. Within Qingyun sect, one needed certain qualifications to exchange for a Foundation Establishment elixir. Moreover, she had previously offended her master. Not only was he unwilling to help, but he also never allocated any significant spiritual medicines from the medicine garden to her. This hindered the improvement of her spiritual plant cultivation skills, making it impossible to earn sufficient contributions in the sect. I happen to have a Foundation Establishment elixir. If Zhao Daoist is in need, I am willing to sell it to you, Lu Changxing said pensively. He had previously refined 3 Foundation Establishment elixirs. He gave one to Qingzhou Mountain and was left with two. Apart from the one destined for Bai Ling, he had no immediate need for the other. After all, at present, only Lu Miaoyun and his family had reached the 9th level of energy refinement. However, since she cultivated the heavenly longevity technique, elixir medicines were of no aid to her cultivation, and she had no need for a foundation establishment elixir either. Given the circumstances, it seemed better to sell the foundation establishment elixir to Zhao Qingqing. With her 6th grade spiritual root and vague body constitution, if she had the elixir, there was a relatively high chance she could break through the foundation establishment. In doing so, the two of them could also forge a good karmic relationship. Foundation establishment elixir. Zhao Qingqing trembled at his words as if she had misheard. As a cultivator, she naturally desired to break through foundation establishment immensely. Countless times she had dreamt of obtaining a foundation establishment elixir to achieve her breakthrough, no longer having to endure her master's displeasure. But she was acutely aware. On her own, the chances of obtaining a foundation establishment elixir were extremely slim. Thus, after saving up 1 meridian protecting elixir and 2 foundation establishment spiritual objects, she was prepared to make her foundation establishment attempt. Even if she were to fail, given her age, she could just barely afford another attempt. Yet, to her utter astonishment, at this very moment, Lu Changxing was actually offering to sell her a foundation establishment elixir. "Thank you for your kind offer, Lu Daoist, but I have already spent my entire savings on this current preparation, so I must give up on the foundation establishment elixir," Zhao Qingqing sighed, her expression bitter as she shook her head. Despite her eagerness, purchasing the meridian protecting elixir, 2 foundation establishment spiritual objects, and an earlier 3 suns elixir had exhausted all of her savings. If she now wished to buy a foundation establishment elixir, she would have to persevere for another decade or more to save the required amount. That's not a problem. If Zhao Daoist doesn't have the spirit stones right now, you can owe the amount and repay it in installments over time, Lu Changxing said with a smile, taking out the foundation establishment elixir. Although his own cultivation journey had been smooth so far, he was aware of the difficulties ordinary cultivators faced in attempting foundation establishment. For ordinary cultivators with decent talent who dedicated themselves to cultivation, reaching the 9th level of qi refinement wasn't too hard. But once at the 9th level, securing a foundation establishment elixir and spiritual objects became an enormous challenge. Someone like Zhao Qingqing, with a unique skill and backed by a sect, was already fortunate to enjoy many conveniences. Most loose cultivators, without any good fortune, would have no choice but to become robber cultivators, hunt demon beasts, or explore ancient ruins for spirit stones to earn a chance at foundation establishment. In the end, they typically risked their lives on 1 or 2 foundation establishment spiritual objects, gambling on a future with slim hopes. Owe it, and repay it in installments. Upon hearing this, Zhao Qingqing's beautiful eyes flickered, her expression slightly dazed. Why would Lu Daoist help me in such a manner? She looked at the handsome Lu Changxing in front of her, a notion crossing her mind. 3 years ago, when the cultivation of spiritual plants and medicines on Bai Lake Mountain had become stable, requiring little from her as a second-rank spiritual plant master, she had considered resigning from her position as a guest elder of Bai Lake Mountain. But Lu Changxing assured that with her, a spiritual plant master, any unforeseen events could be resolved. She could even offer guidance on issues related to spirit plants to his wives and children in her spare time. So he continued to employ her as a guest elder in his household. Now, as she prepared for her foundation establishment, Lu Changxing not only offered to sell her a foundation establishment elixir but also allowed her to owe it to him and repay it slowly. Before, it might have been all right. But how could she explain it now? Sar the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This was a foundation establishment elixir, something countless energy refining cultivators dreamt of obtaining. A single elixir medicine was worth 20,000 spirit stones. If she succeeded in her foundation establishment, she would have the means to repay the elixir. But what if she failed to break through? Zhao Qingqing wasn't foolish. Although she had joined the Immortal sects, she had experienced a lot over the years and understood the warmth and coldness of society. Why was Lu Changxing so willing to help her? What was his intention? Was it because of her abilities, or her looks? Though she knew she was good-looking, she wasn't exceptionally beautiful. She even couldn't compare to some of Lu Changsheng's wives and concubines. With Lu Changsheng's current status, if he was willing to offer a foundation establishment elixir, countless beauties would volunteer themselves. But apart from such a possibility, she really couldn't think of any other reason. After all, Lu Changxing had so many beautiful wives and concubines, and it seemed he was still continuously taking in more concubines and maids. Thank you for your kind offer, Daoist Lu, but I'd better not. I really don't know how to repay such a favor. Even though Zhao Qingqing was very tempted by the foundation establishment elixir, she still shook her head and declined. She had her own principles. If for the sake of this elixir, she gave up her principles, then there was no need to wait until now. Had she agreed to her master's matchmaking, she might have already achieved foundation establishment. Once Zhao Daoist breaks through to foundation establishment, as a disciple of the immortal sects, repaying these won't be a problem in the future. Or do you feel that acquiring this foundation establishment elixir is too easy and lacks a sense of achievement? Or perhaps you're worried about failing the breakthrough and being unable to repay it? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow, his tone carrying a hint of teasing. He wasn't surprised by Zhao Qingqing's response. After all, their relationship, though not bad, wasn't close enough to owe 20,000 spirit stones. Daoist Lu, Zhao Qingqing gave Lu Changxing a glance. What did he mean by no sense of achievement, worrying about failing the breakthrough and being unable to repay? But he wasn't wrong either. She truly did feel that the foundation establishment elixir came too easily, incurring too great a favor. If she failed to break through with this elixir, repaying it would be too hard. Zhao Daoist, we have known each other for many years. If I'm willing to produce this foundation establishment elixir, it means I trust your character. If you need it, just accept this elixir and don't put too much psychological burden on yourself. If you're really worried about repaying it, you can deduct from the guest elder fees and work for my by Lake Mountain for 20 years. Lu Changxing saw that Zhao Qingqing was in a dilemma and smiled openly. Though he had a few other intentions in giving this elixir, he indeed partly wanted to help a friend. Zhao Qingqing's expression twisted in conflict. She knew if she missed this opportunity, another like it might not come again. In the end, she couldn't resist the temptation of foundation establishment and softly said, "In that case, thank you, Daoist Lu. Please rest assured, Daoist Lu, I will repay this spirit stone debt and favor as soon as possible." Zhao Qingqing accepted the porcelain bottle with a grave face. Of course, I trust Zhao Daoist's character. Lu Changxing laughed. This is a premium foundation establishment elixir. Zhao Qingqing opened the porcelain bottle and immediately showed surprise, astonishment, and delight. Keep in mind, her expectations were just for a standard foundation establishment elixir. But now, Lu Changxing had actually provided a premium foundation establishment elixir, truly adding an unexpected joy to her experience. After all, this almost touched upon her half-chances of successful foundation establishment. Yes. Lu Changxing nodded. This favor from Daoist Lu, I really don't know how to repay it. Zhao Qingqing looked at Lu Changxing with mixed feelings, feeling that this favor she owed was a bit too much. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 777, 30 Years of Hard Work, Xiahou Wuwa Strikes. _1 Qinyan Sect, outside the main gate. Lu Daoist, why are you helping me like this? Zhao Qingqing looked at Lu Changxing with complex emotions and asked in a daze. Don't ask. If you ask, it's because I crave your body. Lu Changxing saw the turmoil in Zhao Qingqing's heart and said with a light laugh. Upon hearing his words, Zhao Qingqing's mind buzzed, and she was somewhat stupefied. Although she had such a guess in her heart, she never expected Lu Changxing to respond like this. Her heart immediately started thumping with fast beats. Thank you, Lu Daoist, for seeing me off. Qingqing will go back first. She immediately cupped her hands in thanks and then quickly entered the gate. Go to. If someone else were to be so frivolous, she would naturally scold them coldly. But when Lu Changxing spoke like that, it really made her stupefied, dizzy, and her heart inexplicably sped up. After all these years, she had a rather positive impression of Lu Changxing. Apart from being somewhat promiscuous, she couldn't pick out any other faults with him. In particular, she envied his usual leisurely, easygoing and carefree attitude towards life. Although she had a certain pursuit in cultivation, she was not firmly committed to the Great Tao. Deep down, she truly yearned for a leisurely life dedicated to cultivating spirit plants and healing others. Huff. Zhao Qingqing let out a long breath to calm herself, muttering to herself, Lu Daoist must have seen the confusion in my heart and made that joke to help me relax, not overthink, and focus on my foundation establishment. However, she keenly sensed in her heart that she wasn't very opposed to Lu Changxing. Not like when facing the grandson of her own master. Hee. Outside the gate, Lu Changxing saw Zhao Qingqing leave in a bit of a hurry and chuckled lightly. Although his words were a joke, they did carry a bit of truth. Zhao Qingqing, having only a 6th grade spiritual root but still being a Vegbody, caught his interest. He had once read in ancient books that if both parents were spiritual bodies, their offspring had a higher probability of being born with a spiritual body. However, the chances of birthing a spiritual body were exceedingly low, and no one could specify exactly, there was just such a theory. Furthermore, if she could break through to foundation establishment with her Vegbody, it would indeed boost the path of spirit plant cultivation significantly. In turn, it could be of certain help to his own golden armor bean mother, luminous treasure tree and even the abyssal ghoul blossom or Mount Sumra tree king. But she was not yet one of his own. These things, he was not yet willing to let her know about, to study and cultivate. But once a woman starts to be moved, it should not be difficult. Lu Changxing shook his head, not overthinking it, and rode the flying shuttle back to Bai Lake Mountain. Such matters were just casual deeds for him. He was not forceful about them, letting nature take its course. A day and a half later. Chuanjin. Lu Changxing rode a purple flying shuttle back to Bai Lake Mountain's boundary. Seeing a black-robed youth below riding a spirit steed, he recognized his son Lu Chuanjin and immediately descended. Lu Chuanjin instinctively tensed his body, but upon seeing the visitor was Lu Changxing, a smile broke across his face as he called out, "Father." He was clad in a black brocade robe, his features stern, looking much the same as 2 years ago. But Lu Changxing keenly noticed that his son, compared to 2 years ago, had developed a bit more killing intent. Clearly, these past 2 years abroad hadn't been without bloodshed. You've finally decided to come back. Lu Changxing said with a bemused smile. My travels have been long, I've caused you worry, father. Lu Chuanjin spoke up. Your mother has been talking about you every day. Lu Changxing shook his head, asking his son to put away the spirit steed. Then, picking up his son and forming a mana shield around them, he whisked Lu Chuanjin across the sky like a shooting star, directly into Bai Lake Mountain, returning to Baiyun Peak. So this is foundation establishment, flying through the sky, Lu Chuanjin murmured to himself as he landed on Baiyun Peak, expressing a bit of longing for the experience of flying through the air. Chuanjin. Chu Zhenjin, upon hearing the news, rushed over in a hurry to see her son had returned. Clad in a pink and white dress with her hair neatly coiffed and a white jade hairpin askew on her head, she advanced upon him with a worried expression, pinched her son's arm and said with concern, "Why have you taken so long to return? It must have been hard outside. Mother can see you've gotten thin." Lu Changxing, Lu Caizhen. The father and daughter next to Chu Zhenjin were both somewhat speechless at her comment. They didn't see where Lu Chuanjin had gotten thin. Lu Changxing, for one, noticed not only the increase in killing intent on his son but also a significant improvement in his cultivation level. As for his sister Lu Caizhen, even though she couldn't perceive much, she also felt her brother somewhat changed, seemingly more fierce. Then Chu Zhenjin began inquiring about her son's life abroad over the past 2 years and whether he had been bullied. Lu Chuanjun reassured her that his travels were safe and had never encountered any danger, then described the places he'd been to, the interesting things he'd come across, and how his experiences had broadened his horizons, charming Chuanjun into wonder and making her feel that such travels seemed quite enjoyable. Lu Changxing listened and just shook his head. Sir the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Such tales could deceive Chuanjun but not Lu Miaoyun or Lu Miaohuan. Neither of them would believe such tall tales from their son. After the mother and son had caught up, Lu Changxing and his son stepped out of the hall, and he took out a high-rank breakthrough elixir from his storage bag and handed it to his son. He said, "This is a high-grade breakthrough elixir, you can use it if you need it. However, it's best to break through on your own if you can, and not rely on elixir medicines." His son Lu Chuanjun was only an 8th grade spiritual root. Without the help of a breakthrough elixir, it would be quite difficult to advance past the energy refinement late stage, likely requiring a long struggle. Considering his son's activities involved fighting and killing outside, he directly gave him an elixir, hoping he would focus on cultivating at home in peace. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 778, 30 Years of Hard Work, Xiahou Wuwa Strikes. Thank you for your kindness, Father, but during my trip outside, I also had my own good fortune and obtained a high-grade breakthrough elixir. Lu Chuanjun was slightly taken aback, a hint of a smile appearing on his face. In his heart, he couldn't help feeling sentimental. Having such a father, he indeed didn't need to try so hard. On his travels, he gained a deeper insight into the lower echelons of the cultivation world. He knew that most loose cultivators in the cultivation world were struggling to survive, full of calculations. Not to mention, just such a high-grade breakthrough elixir could make countless loose cultivators flock to it, willing to risk their lives for it. Immediately after, he took the initiative to recount some of his adventures, sharing what he saw and learned. Your willingness to work hard is a good thing, and I am very comforted, but remember, the family will always be your support. You can talk to me about anything. Lu Changxing exhaled softly and patted his son on the shoulder. It's good for children to have their own convictions and to be independent. But he didn't like them being too independent, relying entirely on themselves for everything. It was okay to freeload off the family when necessary. After all, in the cultivation world, relying solely on oneself for everything was just too exhausting. I understand, Father, Lu Chuanjun nodded. He then expressed his desire to run a shop in the Nine Dragons Market, to experience a different kind of life. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing naturally agreed with pleasure, instructing him to go find Lu Yun to make arrangements within the family. Myriad Beasts Mountain Range. A stronghold of the Qingyun sect. Boom. 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 Suddenly, a series of terrifying attacks bombarded the stronghold's great formation, causing a huge commotion. Audacious. Who dares to attack my Qingyun sect? The false core Immortal overseeing the stronghold suddenly opened his eyes and rebuked loudly. With white hair and a youthful face, he was clad in a purple magical robe, surrounded by dense purple mist, exuding a terrifying might that put everyone in the stronghold on high alert. Boom. 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 A figure shrouded in a black cloak could be seen wielding a spiritual artifact staff, furiously pounding the stronghold's great formation, causing loud rumbling noises. Seeking death. The Qingyun sect's false core Immortal flew into a rage upon seeing this, indignant that a mere false core, unarmed with magical treasures, dared to cause trouble at his stronghold. He immediately soared into the sky, maneuvering the formation as purple lightning and red sparks filled the void around him, unleashing an attack on the figure in the black cloak. Ha! The figure in the black cloak let out a shout, tossed the staff into the air, and it burst forth with brilliant spiritual light, which then split from 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. In the blink of an eye, they covered the sky and shrouded the entire formation, continuing the bombardment. Heavenly Thunder Art. The purple-robed false-core Immortal let out a cold snort. A Dharma bead filled with purple lightning in his hand appeared. The thunder around the formation intensified, forming a formidable and fierce thunder dragon, dozens of feet in size, charging towards the figure in the black cloak with a roar. Boom! 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 In the mountain range, thunderous explosions rang out as the two combatants clashed, their purple lightning and black spiritual light intertwining. After several exchanges, the figure in the black cloak seemed to falter, and a black great axe appeared in his hand, swinging with countless dark runes, shaking off the lightning attack and trying to flee. SEA the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. You are Xiahou Wua. The purple-robed elder immediately recognized the identity of the figure upon seeing the magical axe. It was Xiahou Wua, the infamous Xiahou Money, wanted by his sect and the entire Jiang country cultivation realm. Seeing Xiahou Wua attempting to escape, he immediately ascended, shouting, "Demonic path thief, where do you think you're going?" Although he didn't know why Xiahou Wua suddenly attacked his stronghold, encountering him by chance, he naturally would not let him go. Moreover, his cultivation method was of the thunder type, which was particularly effective against Xiahou Wua, and he was confident he could suppress the other party. Whoosh! Grasping the heavenly thunder Dharma bead, writhing lightning serpents encircled him, transforming into a dazzling streak like a shooting star, chasing down Xiahou Wua. However, not long after, whoosh, an endless gust of gloomy wind accompanied by pitch-black clouds swept toward him, exuding a fierce, brutal, and terrifying aura, immediately giving him a bad premonition. He formed hand seals, and a bright purple light enveloped him in a shining armor of thunder. Boom! From within the black mists, a colossal figure with a bull's head and a human body emerged out of thin air, massive like a hill. Its serpentine muscles were etched with terrifying dark runes, while its blood-red eyes and two horns focused ominously on the purple-robed elder. As soon as this figure appeared, it gazed at the purple-robed elder, its glow terrifying, as if it could shatter souls. Its massive arms lashed out like dragons winding up from the ground, exuding a towering presence, and struck out with force enough to set off waves of destruction, the air itself exploding layer by layer. A third-rank corpse king. No, this is bad. The purple-robed elder's eyes contracted at the sight of the corpse king barreling towards him, and he immediately realized the terrible situation. He had been lured into a trap. The other party had deliberately drawn him out to ambush and kill him. How does Xiahou Wua have a third-rank corpse king, and that too an earth-grade bloodline monster beast, the Kangmeng ox? Could it be? The purple-robed elder had a sudden suspicion. But without daring to ponder further or hesitate, he quickly formed hand seals, positioning the heavenly thunder bead above his head, unleashing a torrent of tumultuous purple lightning, like a vast ocean, into a web of thunder. Boom! 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 The shadowy light of the massive fist landed amid the mountains, causing a series of deafening explosions, with lightning scattering in all directions, triggering endless aftershocks that turned the surrounding trees and rocks to dust, leaving scorched earth. The miasma spread while the mighty fist, carrying unspeakable force, continued pounding towards the purple-robed elder. Damn it, it's a dark demon corpse from the Heavenly Corpse sect. The purple-robed elder's face was extremely grim. He poured his mana wildly into the heavenly thunder bead and took out several talismans from his bosom, desperate to fight his way out and escape. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 779, 30 Years of Hard Work, Xiahou Wua Strikes. However, Xiahou Wua was well prepared. He suddenly appeared behind the man in the purple robe, his expression icy, holding a black great axe, with dark spiritual light surging from it. He chopped down, blocking any escape. Boom! SEA the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Caught in a pincer attack, the black ghostly light engulfed the purple lightning, causing a massive explosion in the sky. A moment later, the figure of the man in the purple robe was faintly visible within the black light. His hair and beard were disheveled, his face pale and tinged with black, his lightning armor was tattered and worn, he looked very ragged. Kill. Xiahou Wuo's face was ashen and stiff, his voice resonating like the clash of metal, giving the man in the purple robe no chance to catch his breath, continuing the assault alongside the dark demon corpse. Faced with such an attack from both a person and a corpse, the man in the purple robe had no means of defense or blockage, and within a few exchanges, he was smashed into pulp by the dark demon corpse's fists. Qingyun sect. Xiahou Wuo's expression was grim, his eyes glowing crimson as he collected the body before him. Go to. Ko He then, together with the dark demon corpse, flew directly towards the stronghold. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. During this time, Lu Changsheng's wives had become pregnant again. And a child with a 4th grade spiritual root was born. Unknowingly, my Lu family is now also brimming with geniuses. Lu Changsheng held the newborn baby, feeling emotional in his heart. Since awakening the memories of his past life at Qingyun's sect and activating the system, exactly 30 years have gone by. Through 30 years of effort, he now had a total of 178 children. 49 of these children had spiritual roots. Among these 49 children, there was one with a 2nd grade spiritual root, one with a 3rd grade, 3 with 4th grade, 5 with 5th grade, and 5 with 6th grade. Moreover, there were 3 with spiritual bodies. Such talented descendants, when compared to any cultivation family in the surrounding area, were enough to be proud of. What's more, all these children were from him alone. Once these children grew up, such deeds were likely to be recorded in the history of Jiang country's cultivation realm. 30 years have passed in glory, I've achieved a small measure of success. Lu Changsheng was quite satisfied with his accomplishments over the past 30 years. The only thing he was slightly less satisfied with was that his most talented daughter was not at home and he, as a father, had not yet met her. But there are 49 already. I estimate it won't be long before the system hands out another child money. I wonder if the system will give any surprises. Lu Changsheng murmured to himself, roughly grasping some patterns of the system's child money. After a brief visit with his children and spending some time with his wives, Lu Changsheng returned to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. At this time, Lu Miaoge was treating Ling Zixio's meridians and dantian. Thank you, Miaoge. A moment after the treatment finished, Ling Zixiao sat up and softly thanked her. She then turned to Lu Changsheng and said, My lord, my meridians and dantian are now in a condition where I can attempt cultivation. Congratulations, Zixiao. Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng laughed. Over the course of the year, both he and Lu Miaoge had done their best to treat Ling Zixiao, and she had shown significant improvements. Her graceful features were no longer ashen and lacking color as before, but had become much more rosy. Congratulations, Sister Ling. Lu Miaoge also sounded her congratulations. She knew that Ling Zixiao, due to her dragon roar physique, had withered meridians and dantian, and had been unable to cultivate. Otherwise, with her spiritual root talent, her cultivation level would probably have already reached the middle stage of foundation establishment, if not the later stages. Here are the 12 celestial demon techniques. Zixiao, you can take a look and see which one suits you best. If you encounter any problems during the process, just come and ask me. Lu Changsheng took out the cultivation techniques he had prepared earlier and handed them to Ling Zixiao. Thank you, my lord. Ling Zixiao graciously accepted the techniques, smiling lightly. She had long anticipated the day when her meridians and dantian would be restored. But perhaps because she had watched them gradually improve day by day, now that they were almost fully recovered, her heart had calmed down. Zixiao, once you start cultivating, the problem with the dragon roar physique will likely reoccur, so you'll need to be very careful and cautious. If there's any issue, remember to tell me right away. Lu Changsheng continued, speaking earnestly. The origin source of Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique had been plundered by him using the dragon invocation technique, thereby entering a dormant state. But once she began cultivating, the issue with the spiritual body would re-emerge, causing the yang energy to scorch her meridians and dantian. Do not worry, my lord. I understand, Ling Zixiao replied with a warm smile, feeling a surge of warmth in her heart. In the following days, Ling Zixiao tried to switch to a new cultivation method to see which of the Vermilion Bird Sky Scorching Art, the Thunder Fire 9 arts, and the 12 Celestial Demon techniques was more compatible with her. However, during the daytime when she had time, she would still go to Bai Shui Lake to construct the oceanic formation. After all, this oceanic formation mainly used the 36 oceanic orbs to nourish the spirit vein. Once the spirit vein beneath Bai Shui Lake advanced to the second rank, it could not only connect with the water vein of Bai Yun Peak spirit vein, but also upgrade the overall spiritual energy of Bai Lake Mountain. Lu Chengsheng's plan for the spiritual beasts breeding farm could also begin by dividing an area in Bai Shui Lake for raising aquatic demon beasts. The stars and moon were without light, and the night was dark as ink. Outside Bai Lake Mountain, a figure cloaked in a black cloak appeared. His face was ashen and stiff, and within the hood, a pair of eyes glowed with a frightening crimson sheen, making them extremely intimidating against the night sky. Bai Lake Mountain, Xiahou Wuwa gazed into the distance at Bai Lake Mountain shrouded in blue misty waters in the night, his eyes glowing with an intimidating sheen. A second-tier top-level formation, a second-rank array master, really quite impressive. It's no wonder that Wu Su fell here in the past. However, even with your third-rank great formation, you cannot escape tonight's calamity. Xiahou Wuo's eyes were filled with killing intent. He turned into a divine rainbow, and instantly appeared at the summit of Bai Lake Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 780, 30 Years of Hard Work, Xiahou Wuo Strikes. _4 He slapped his storage bag, and one bronze ancient steel after another appeared. A total of 18 steels dropped down, surrounding Bai Lake Mountain on all sides. As these steels landed, Xiahou Wuo activated them, immediately erupting with grey pillars of light that coiled around the exterior of Bai Lake Mountain. The energy connected like a layer of grey chaos enveloping the entire Bai Lake Mountain. What's going on? The Lu family disciples, not only guarding the mountain gate of Bai Lake Mountain but also patrolling as sentinels, were always vigilant of their surroundings. Seeing this scene, they immediately realized something was wrong, activated the formation, took out communication talisman, and relayed the message to Bai Yun Peak. At the same time, in the sky above Bai Lake Mountain, a black staff appeared in Xiahou Wuo's hands. He tossed the staff into the air, where it continuously split into hundreds of staffs. SEA the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The grey chaos that emerged from the ancient steels like mist permeated these staffs, aiming a bombardment at the Great Formation. Boom, go to. For a moment, the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation erupted with a violent noise, flickering uncertainly under the night sky. Many cultivators, whether in sleep or meditation, were suddenly jolted awake, their mental spirits trembling. What's happening? Inside Changxing Hall of Mount Summer Cave Heaven, Lu Changxing, Ling Zixiao, and Lu Miaoge were among those who were immediately awakened, realizing that something was amiss. They quickly left their dwellings and went to Bai Yun Peak, looking toward the exterior of the formation at Xiahou Wuo, who was cloaked in a black cloak. Who are you? Lu Changxing locked eyes with Xiahou Wuo, his expression slightly tense as he spoke in a deep voice. He could not ascertain Xiahou Wuo's cultivation level, but given the current situation, he immediately realized that the enemy was no simple foe. He directly transmitted a question to the Mount Sumeru Tree King, Mount Sumeru. Master, this person's cultivation level should be at the false core. The ethereal and pure voice of the Mount Sumeru Tree King echoed in Lu Changsheng's mind. Zi Shao, activate the Mount Sumeru Illusion Sky Great Formation. Once Lu Changxing heard this, he immediately transmitted the command to Ling Zixiao. They prepared to directly operate the Great Formation to confront the enemy and suppress him into the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. Hee, who am I? You rely on the power of the formation to kill my family's younger brother, so who do you think I am? Tonight, I will make your entire By Lake Mountain pay for my brother's burial. Xiahou Wuo's voice rang out, clanging and raspy, extremely grating. Amid his words, hundreds, if not thousands, of staffs attacked the By Lake Mountain Great Formation. These staffs were all enveloped in a layer of gray aura, striking at the formation, causing ripples that made the blue mist of the Bywater Heavenly Blue Great Formation dissipate, revealing glimpses of By Lake Mountain. Clearly, this gray aura was a kind of treasure specifically for breaking magical formations. Xiahou Wuo, Lu Changsheng, Ling Zixiao, and Lu Miaoge, having heard this, guessed the identity of this person. With such strength and seeking to avenge a brother, aside from the currently concealed Xiahou Wuo, there could be no other. Heaven's path you did not take, Hell's gate you enter by your own choosing. Since you've come, there's no need to leave. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a chill. The enemy had been hiding all this time and he had been thinking about finding trouble with the enemy to avenge Ling Zixiao. Yet for so many years, there had been no news of the foe. Unexpectedly, they finally had him coming to their doorstep. Whoosh, at this moment, Ling Zixiao manipulated the array plate. The Mount Sumeru Tree King's body glowed with a crystal sheen, and strands of divine light spilled out, lending a golden gleam to the Bywater Heavenly Blue Great Formation which flickered in the uncertain light. The gold and blue light merged, making the Great Formation's energy inscrutable. A hazy, imperceptible mist appeared, slowly enveloping Xiahou Wuo. Hee, I'd like to see what ability you have to claim your revenge. Decked in a green magical robe, Lu Changsheng rose to the sky, stood with his hands behind his back, and coldly spoke to Xiahou Wuo beneath the night sky. Arrogant fool, courting death. Xiahou Wuo, seeing Lu Changsheng learn his identity yet still daring to be so bold and not taking him seriously, rebuked coldly. Amidst his words, a black great axe appeared in his hand, ready to slash down toward By Lake Mountain. But the next moment, he saw a hazy black mist emerge. The surrounding scenery suddenly transformed from the exterior of By Lake Mountain to a place shrouded in a vague and chaotic mist from all directions. With his axe, he cleaved through the endless murky gray fog, but it had no effect on this world. What's going on? Xiahou Wuo's eyes showed a look of shock and uncertainty. He realized he had fallen into a formation. But he couldn't immediately identify the flaw in the formation. I've clearly set up the spirit-suppressing ancient steel, which should weaken the operation of the formation. This By Lake Mountain Great Formation is only a second-tier top-level formation, so how could it have such an effect? Xiahou Wuo's face was ashen, his eyes flecked with crimson. Without giving it much thought, he slapped the Een corpse bag at his waist and released his greatest reliance. Suddenly, hoo, a gust of Een wind howled, an endless black fog billowed, filling the space with a terrifying and intimidating energy. However, at that moment, he felt the world spinning around him. The scene before his eyes changed once more, like an illusion of flowers in the mirror and the moon in the water. The surroundings were still shrouded in haze. But in front of him, he saw a palace, a pond, a table and chairs, and a woman with red hair dressed in red. Boom! Before he could understand what was happening, he suddenly felt a terrifying force of heaven and earth descending upon him, making his body sink. It was as if a huge mountain was pressing down on him, trapping him in a mire, rendering him unable to move in the slightest. In his dantian, the false core also fell silent, unable to use even a fraction of his mana. How is this possible? Xiahou Wuo immediately turned pale with fright, his eyes were filled with terror. Although he was only a false core immortal. But a false core immortal is still an immortal, a being that those at the Foundation establishment level look up to. Yet now, without even understanding what was happening, he was directly suppressed without the slightest ability to resist. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, he heard terrifying roars and the chilling energy that accompanied them. He knew it was his greatest reliance, the dark demon corpse. But in just a moment, he saw his dark demon corpse, like him, trapped in the void. The corpse energy was restrained, the ghastly black runes on its musculature like those of a dragon gradually grew dim, the two crimson eyes and bull horns flickered uncertainly, as if falling into a deep sleep. This, Xiahou Wuo's eyes showed terror, and he couldn't understand what was happening. He felt as if he were dreaming. He was just there to annihilate a small Foundation establishment family. But what was this nightmare? Not only was he suppressed in an instant. His dark demon corpse, a third-rank corpse king, was also suppressed in an instant. This. If his mind were not clear, he would have thought he had stumbled into Qingyun's sect. Xiahou Wuo was a picture of horror and confusion, not knowing what was happening. The next moment, he saw ripples appear before him. 3 figures appeared, 1 male and 2 females. It was Lu Changsheng, Lu Miaoge, and Ling Zixiao whom he had seen before. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 781, The Tactics of the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, An Unprecedented Harvest. _1 inch Lu Changsheng, Ling Zixiao, Xiahou Wuo gazed at the trio of Lu Changsheng, Ling Zixiao, and Lu Miaoge, his expression somewhat bewildered. Sir the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If he had previously thought he was trapped in some illusion formation, blinded in his spirit sense, then now, with the appearance of Lu Changsheng and the others, he clearly realized that this was not an illusion. He was in a completely different space. Is this a cave heaven treasure? That hazy black fog just now, it was someone activating a cave heaven treasure, but a cave heaven treasure could never have such power. Xiahou Wuo had his suspicions but still found it hard to believe, uncertain of the situation. After all, even a golden core true person visiting personally would not be able to suppress him and the dark demon corpse so effortlessly. Xiahou Wuo, Lu Changsheng, donning a green robe, with handsome features and a calm demeanor, looked towards Xiahou Wuo, whose complexion was ashen and stiff, his expression filled with terror. Go to. Although he had known before about the power of his family's formation and Mount Sumera's strength, it was only at this moment that he had a clear realization. After all, the Xiahou Wuo in front of him was a false core immortal, whose power was incredibly fearsome. When he had traveled to Zhouxiao Immortal City aboard the Qingyun sect's spiritual vessel, he witnessed the pursuit of Qingyun's true inheritor, Chu Qingyi, by this man, and his battle with Qiyun True Immortal. Even Qiyun True Immortal, also a false core, was no match for the current Xiahou Wuo. Yet here and now, such a formidable being was effortlessly suppressed by his family's great formation and Mount Sumera Tree King, reduced to a prisoner at their feet. However, his attention was immediately drawn to the dark demon corpse beside him, imposing as a small hill. Although this corpse king was suppressed by Mount Sumera and could not move a muscle, he could still sense a terrifying aura from it that left souls trembling. Xiahou Wuo, I, Lu, have been waiting for you for quite some time now. Have you thought about how you wish to die? Lu Changsheng looked at Xiahou Wuo, standing with his hands behind his back, his tone serene, speaking lightly. Lu Changsheng, who exactly are you? The voice of Xiahou Wuo was hoarse and grating. Though his mana was completely suppressed and sealed, he could still tell that Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao had Foundation establishment cultivation levels. As for Lu Changsheng, though his cultivation aura was obscured like a mist, he had gathered some basic understanding of Bai Lake Mountain before coming here. He knew that Bai Lake Mountain's master, Lu Changsheng, was at the early stage of Foundation establishment. Because he was skilled in talisman formation and cultivated with his wife, Lu Miaoge, in some kind of dual cultivation technique, their combined strength was almost comparable to the peak of Foundation establishment. But right now, he realized that the Lu Changsheng in front of him was definitely not that simple. This man held a great secret, inscrutable. The information he had acquired was merely what Lu Changsheng had let the outside world know. If that's all you have for your last words, then you may go ahead and die. Lu Changsheng said softly. He, as a cultivator of the righteous path, naturally stood in opposition to the demonic path. If there was still a shred of kindness, he would be willing to offer an opportunity for redemption. But for a demonic path thief like Xiahou Wuwa, who was utterly vile and guilty of grave offenses, there was obviously nothing more to say. Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. Lu Changxing called out. And so, next to the Fountain of Spirit, an exceedingly beautiful and enchanting dark red flower swayed gently, its bud ready to bloom, exuding a captivating luster. Accompanying the swaying, roots covered in dark red thorns emerged from the ground, stretching out towards Xiahou Wuwa, tainting the air with a hint of blood. This gorgeous and enthralling flower was the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom that Lu Changxing had won from a system lottery. Uncertain if the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom required a spirit vein, upon learning that the Mount Summer Tree King could transplant the spirit plants out of the cave heaven, Lu Changxing temporarily planted this Abyssal Ghoul Blossom within the Mount Summer cave heaven. After planting it, Lu Changxing also gained a detailed understanding of this Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. Indeed, the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom could grow without a spirit vein, feeding only on flesh, blood, and souls. However, this method required a large amount of flesh and souls. Feeding it with demon beasts would be a significant expense. Therefore, wherever possible, it was still better to plant it atop a spirit vein, which would also accelerate its growth. Beyond that, after planting this Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, Lu Changxing also understood its abilities in detail. Its belly harbored a prison that could contain living beings. This imprisonment couldn't be applied to beings far stronger than itself, and there was a limit to the number of beings it could hold. But this cage could refine beings and, through their souls, obtain fragments of their memories. This was somewhat similar to the soul-searching technique used in demonic path methods. So now, with Xiahou Wuwa readily arriving at his doorstep, Lu Changxing naturally wasn't going to be courteous, choosing instead to feed him to the flower to test out the effectiveness of the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom's abilities. What are you doing? You actually have such demonic path methods. The roots spreading from the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom pierced into Xiahou Wuo's flesh and blood, dragging him in front of the flower bud. At this moment, the bud no longer appeared beautiful and enticing, but rather eerie and terrifying. It resembled a gaping abyss, with pistils-like tentacles revealing a yearning for flesh. It enveloped and slowly drew him in. No. Xiahou Wuwa could feel a power seeping into his flesh, corrupting his flesh, bones, and mana. But at this time, his own mana was completely suppressed and sealed by the Mount Summer Tree King. He was utterly powerless to resist. No. I am not resigned to this. I still have family feuds and clan grievances, must seek revenge against Qingyun's sect, and must restore the glory of the Xiahou family. Xiahou Wuo's ashen face twisted viciously, his crimson eyes filled with unwillingness, roaring hoarsely. For his objectives, he had been unscrupulous, even willing to submit to the demon race and become a lapdog to demons. But now, just as he began to glimpse hope, he was inexplicably dying at the hands of a minor Foundation establishment family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 782, The Tactics of the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, An Unprecedented Harvest. He didn't even know how he died, how he had fallen. He wanted to roar and struggle, but he couldn't move an inch. His consciousness grew more and more blurry, and it felt like he was sinking into darkness. As the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom completely devoured Xiahou Wuwa, its roots disappeared, reverting to its original appearance, beautiful, enchanting, and flawless. No one would have suspected the horror that had just occurred. The dark demon corpse that was as huge as a small mountain also seemed to have its runes dimmed considerably. Its flickering bull horns and eyes appeared to be extinguished and turned a grayish-black color. This, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and Su Ruyan, who was not far away, witnessed this scene with surprise and suspicion, their minds in turmoil. On one hand, they felt the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom's methods were somewhat reminiscent of the sinister demon path. On the other, they were shocked to see a false-core immortal being subdued and devoured in such a manner. It was hard to believe. After all, For them, a false core immortal was an exalted existence that was looked up to in their everyday lives. These methods do seem a bit demonic. Go to. Coupon. Seeing this scene, Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, mumbling to himself. If the abyssal ghoul blossom's methods were seen by others, it would undoubtedly be deemed demonic. However, now that Xiahou Wuwa is dead, I can go to Yu country's Jinyang sect with peace of mind. Lu Changsheng exhaled softly. Although the Mount Sumra Tree King stood guard at home, making him unafraid of attacks, he would still feel somewhat uneasy as long as the other wasn't dead. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At that moment, magical treasures, spiritual artifacts, storage bags, and storage rings were expelled by the abyssal ghoul blossom. The abyssal ghoul blossom not only fed on flesh, blood, and souls. The remains of dead beings, and even spirit plants and spiritual materials, could be its food. Even these magical treasures and spiritual artifacts could be corroded by it, turned into energy. But of course, Lu Changsheng would not let it refine these items. Zi Xiao, Sister Miaoga, time to clean up the loot. Lu Changsheng chuckled softly, speaking to Lu Miaoga and Ling Zixiao in a gentle voice. Okay. Upon hearing his words, both women replied softly, not commenting further on the abyssal ghoul blossom. Ling Zixiao, who was currently studying the 12 capital demon gods technique, didn't care about such demonic methods at all. While Lu Miaoga thought it seemed rather peculiar and wicked, she wouldn't say anything about it. However, Su Rian couldn't help but swallow hard, not expecting the demon plant to be so dreadful. Being a practitioner of the beast technique, she was very sensitive to the aura of demon beasts. The aura of the abyssal ghoul blossom earlier had given her palpitations. So many spirit stones. And 2 magical treasures. Opening a storage ring and breaking its seals, Lu Changsheng was pleasantly surprised to find not only a pile of spirit stones and heavenly materials and earthly treasures but also 2 magical treasures. One was a purple thunder bead the size of a fist. Another was a fiery red, jade-like sharp little sword. He took out the 2 treasures to inspect, and it seemed they were both life-bound magical treasures. Spiritual Origin Pearl, Foundation Establishment Elixir, Core Formation Spiritual Object, so many spiritual ores, demon beast materials. Lu Miaoga and Ling Zixiao, examining a few storage bags, also cried out in surprise. They were somewhat astonished. SEA the Novel Fire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Because Xiahou Wuwa was indeed too wealthy, not fitting the profile of a false core immortal at all. My lord, Xiahou Wuwa had just set up a magic artifact outside by Lake Mountain to interfere with the Great Formations operation. Your concubine needs to check on it. At that moment, sensing something, Ling Zixiao spoke up. I'll go with you, and we need to briefly reassure everyone after what just happened. Lu Changsheng nodded in agreement. The recent assault on Bai Lake Mountain by Xiahou Wuwa, although brief, had caused quite a commotion. As the mountain master, it was only natural for him to calm the situation. Afterward, the 2 of them stepped out of Mount Sumru Cave Heaven. My lord. Mountain master. Father. Daddy. At the foot of Baiyun Peak, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Yun, Lu Pingan, and others rushed forward with questions upon seeing Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao. It was just a robber cultivator who came to cause trouble, but it's been dealt with. Lu Changsheng didn't elaborate much. Although the news of killing Xiahou Wuwa could be used to intimidate others to a certain extent, and he could even claim a hefty bounty from Qingyun sect, once the news got out, explaining and justifying it would become difficult, and continuing to live discreetly would no longer be an option. So, without a second thought, he fed the corpse to the abyssal ghoul blossom. After simply reassuring everyone that the robber cultivator had been destroyed by the family's great formation and ordering the guard to stand down, Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao headed outside by Lake Mountain. This must be some kind of formation path magic artifact. Ling Zixiao examined the spirit-restricting steel softly saying so. Then, along with Lu Changsheng, they tried to collect the 18 ancient steels. Now that Xiahou Wuwa was dead, it was easy for them to gather these steels. After finishing up, the two returned into the Mount Sumeru cave heaven to continue sorting through the spoils of battle. Such rich spoils made all three of them deeply moved. Just then, Lu Changxing received a ripple from the abyssal ghoul blossom. It signified that the memory fragments of Xiahou Wuwa had been extracted. Raising his eyebrows, he moved beside the seductively beautiful blossom, laying his palm on the flower. Immediately, a series of broken and disjointed images began to unfold before his eyes. The memories were extremely chaotic, making it quite challenging to sort through the useful information, and it vastly drained his mental spirit. It's rumored that the Xiahou family are the covert descendants of the Heavenly Corpse sect in Jin Kingdom. So, Ancestor Xiahou was once a disciple of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Back then, realizing that Qingyun's sect was targeting them, the Xiahou family had sent a portion of their core descendants to Yu country. Xiahou Wushang, Tisk, TSKS. I didn't expect Xiahou Wuwa to actually take part in the Beast Tide and Imperial Spirit Sex domain, becoming a traitor. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 783, The Tactics of the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, An Unprecedented Harvest. Third Rank Corpse King, the Dark Demon Corpse. No wonder Xiahou Wuwa was so wealthy. He had plundered and looted several strongholds of Qingyun sect, Spirit Taming sect, Luoxia sect. Lu Changxing gathered a plethora of information from Xiahou Wuo's memory fragments through the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. Yet the messages were too cluttered, and despite his divine sense reaching the pinnacle of foundation establishment, he found it somewhat exhausting to sift through them. He stopped browsing the memories, planning to sort them out later when he had spare time, to see if he could extract more useful information from Xiahou Wuo's memories. At this point, Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao also roughly sorted out the spoils of war. 13 superior-grade spirit stones. 948 middle-grade spirit stones. 79,611 lower-grade spirit stones. 3 lower-grade magical treasures, 1 magical treasure embryo, 3 top-quality spiritual artifacts, 2 superior-grade spiritual artifacts, 5 middle-grade spiritual artifacts, 9 lower-grade spiritual artifacts, and a pile of magic artifacts. Go to. Besides spirit stones and magical treasures, there was also 1 core formation spiritual object, 1 genuine foundation establishment elixir, 1 spiritual origin pearl, for foundation establishment spirit objects, 3rd rank spiritual wood. As for other spiritual objects, spiritual mines, spiritual medicine, and demon beast corpses, there was a huge pile. Faced with such a bountiful harvest, even Lu Changxing found it difficult to appraise. Because for items like magical treasures and some 3rd rank materials and spiritual objects, it is hard to measure their value with spirit stones. Such high-level items mostly involve barter trade, not simply sold for spirit stones. Previously, when Lu Changxing had attended the auction at the Qingyun market, a magical treasure was auctioned for the high price of 330,000 spirit stones. However, this kind of price offers little reference value. Regardless, tonight's haul was unprecedented for Lu Changxing, exceeding the value of 1 million spirit stones. With the gain from tonight, it would be enough for him to sit back and live off the wealth of Bai Lake Mountain for nearly a decade. Indeed, the quickest way to wealth is through the generous support of kind souls. If I had to rely on talisman making and alchemy, even if I worked from dawn till dusk, I don't know how long it would take. Lu Changxing voiced his thoughts aloud. Even though he was accustomed to grand scenes due to the system, the staggering bounty still excited him. Especially the 3 magical treasures and 1 magical treasure embryo. Although these magical treasures and the embryo, being the life-bound magic treasure of others, were not convenient to sell and would have significantly reduced power and efficacy if used, they were perfect for practicing the 100 Refinements treasure body art. By now, Pingon has mastered the initial stage of the 100 Refinements treasure body art, breaking through the first layer. With these 3 magical treasures and 1 magical treasure embryo, I can give one to him to try incorporating into his body for practice. Then I can select 2 more from the family with a talent for body refinement to teach the treasure body technique. Lu Changxing mused internally, planning to have his children practice with these 3 magical treasures and the embryo. After all, for his children to cultivate, making dual use of a single magical treasure is the most cost-effective method. For himself as a father, that was about enough. Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao too were so stunned by the astonishing harvest that they felt as if they were dreaming. After all, the number of spirit stones and the heaven and earth spiritual materials were too vast, too overwhelming. This night would be a sleepless one for the 3 of them. Not just for them, but for most of the people at Bai Lake Mountain, tonight was also a sleepless night. After all, Xiahou Wuo's previous momentum and formation clearly belonged to no ordinary cultivator. He was probably a great cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment. Yet such an existence was suppressed by Bai Lake Mountain within moments, which was astonishing. Yu Country. The Xiahou family of South Wind Ridge. This was a small foundation establishment family clan that had someone break through to foundation establishment a few years ago. The family's elder led people to clear and establish the family clan here thereafter. The location was very remote, not only close to the Myriad Beasts mountain range but also surrounded by many poisonous miasmas. A middle-aged man around 40, with graying hair and clad in a white brocade robe, was organizing the family's land veins through a formation. Just then, he suddenly sensed something and stiffened instantly. His face turned pale, and his arms trembled slightly as he took a jade token out of his storage bag. The jade token was full of cracks. Then, with a bang, it exploded into a dust of jade. Big brother. Xiahou Wushang looked at the jade token in his hand, his complexion drastically changing as if struck by a bolt from the blue. He staggered, calling out in sorrow. Back when the Xiahou family of Blackwater was obliterated, the 3 brothers escaped with the core disciples and went into hiding. Elder brother Xiahou Wuo ventured to the Myriad Beasts mountain range, accumulating strength in secret by hunting demon beasts. Second brother Xiahou Wushu continued to cause chaos in Jiang country, earning resources through looting. As for himself, he led the family's core to Yu country, hiding their names and clandestinely growing their strength. But now, merely 10 years later, just as his side of the family had begun to settle down, first came the death of second brother Xiahou Wushu, and now, tragic news of elder brother Xiahou Wuo. Big brother, Xiahou Wushang's face was filled with grief, his fists clenched tightly. He didn't allow himself to grieve for long. Suddenly raising his head, his expression was resolute. He knew that now, he must be the one to hold up the family. Now that big brother has perished abroad, the family's vengeance seems hopeless. The cultivation technique of the Xiahou family must no longer be practiced, otherwise, if any mishap occurs, our Xiahou family will be utterly eradicated. We cannot carry on here either and must abandon this place, or else it might invite trouble. Xiahou Wushang murmured to himself. He had chosen this place as the family's spirit land because it was unclaimed. Additionally, it was suitable for corpse refining and for practicing the Xiahou family's cultivation techniques. But now, with the death of elder brother Xiahou Wuo, he knew their chances for revenge were almost hopeless. What he needed to do now was ensure the family's survival. And to do that, the Xiahou family's cultivation techniques must indeed be abandoned. They had to completely disguise themselves and start anew. CTH Ovalfire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After spending nearly half a month, Lu Changxing obtained many important pieces of information from Xiahou Wuo's fragmented memories. For example, Xiahou Wuo had a brother in the foundation establishment late stage, called Xiahou Wushang, who was lurking in Yu country. Xiahou Wuo chose to betray humankind because many demon kings in the Myriad Beasts mountain range had reached some sort of clandestine agreement. As for what that agreement was, even Xiahou Wuo was not clear. Then, there was a corpse refining stronghold Xiahou Wuo had in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. The dark demon corpse was created by Xiahou Wuo using a third-rank demon king called Kangmang Ox. However, this dark demon corpse had a defect. it was difficult to control and prone to backlash. To prevent the corpse from turning on its master, it needed constant feeding with fresh blood. That's why he attacked many family strongholds, not just to plunder resources but also to feed the corpse. From the other's memories, Lu Changxing also obtained the heritage of the Xiahou family, heavenly corpse refinement technique. However, this technique could only be cultivated up to the initial stage of core formation. Aside from the technique, there was also a third-rank corpse refining heritage. From ritualizing ordinary walking corpses to iron corpses, copper corpses, silver corpses, and so on. Each of these corpses had their corresponding progression pathways. Such as Dark Demon Corpse, Golden Armor Zombie, Flying Yiksha, Bone-Dissolving Blood Corpse, and so on. Lu Changxing, however, wasn't particularly interested in this technique or the corpse refining heritage. After a quick look, he found that the conditions for refining these corpses were too heinous. For example, the Dark Demon Corpse was very likely to turn on its master, requiring a large intake of blood periodically. The bone-dissolving blood corpse not only needed to consume blood but also required the use of close relatives' corpses for refining to avoid backlash. Really, the more powerful the corpse refining, the more evil the methods. I wonder if that endless guileful head I drew from the system will be the same. Lu Changxing thought of the endless guileful head he had won from the system. According to the system's description, this endless guileful head was quite formidable, one of the corpse deception sect's top corpse fiends. Should I take that thing out to have a look? Anyway, with Mount Sumeru at hand, it can't create any commotion. And from the system's products, there should be an acknowledgement of the master, so it won't exhibit any man-eating behavior. Lu Changxing mused for a moment, thinking of extracting the endless guileful head he drew as a prize from the system. Otherwise, if left in the system's space at home, it might just collect dust forever. Extract. Lu Changxing looked at the endless guileful head in the system space, his mental spirit stirring slightly. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know at report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 784, Core Formation Law Domain, Corpse Charm manipulates the corpse charm. _1 inch who, in an instant, a head with a black, rigid face, ink-black eyes with no whites, disheveled hair, and a ferocious and terrifying appearance materialized. Holy shit, even though Lu Changxing had seen quite a few spectacles, the sight of the endless guileful head still caused his heart to skip a beat, sending shivers down his spine. This head was not only ferocious and terrifying. Its pitch-black face resembled a horse's, elongated like pulled dough, bizarre and unsettling. The two eyes were like swirling black holes, drawing in the mental spirit, intimidating the soul. The endless guileful head, truly sinister, the information about this third-rank refined corpse came into Lu Changxing's mind. The endless guileful head, with early third-rank strength. Its divine skills were strange and unpredictable, mainly focusing on illusions, capable of creating a ghost domain. Go to. Within the ghost domain, only nascent soul immortals could contend. For chi refinement, foundation establishment cultivators, and demon beasts, once they entered the ghost domain, they would be on a one-way path to death. Moreover, under the prolonged erosion of the ghost domain, these beings would be refined into ghost slaves by the endless guileful head. The so-called ghost slaves were a kind of puppet, a Tao soldier. By then, once the ghost domain spread out, the endless guileful head would have many fearless ghost slaves, and its overall strength would continue to rise. Ghost domain, Lu Changxing looked at the effects of the endless guileful head's ghost domain, his eyes narrowing slightly as he muttered to himself. Initially, Hong Lian mentioned that within a nascent soul immortal's body, mana converges to a high degree, vaguely forming a certain domain around them, referred to as the core formation law domain. This law domain may not have much effect on cultivators of the same level, but for chi refinement and foundation establishment cultivators, it is an absolute crush. The reason a false core immortal is far inferior to a nascent soul immortal lies not only in the inability to progress in cultivation level but also in the inability to form a law domain, which even allows them to be challenged and surrounded by foundation establishment cultivators. This ghost domain must be similar to a nascent soul immortal's law domain. Lu Changxing pondered silently. Having never seen a nascent soul immortal make a move, he was always curious if his current strength could overcome core formation. Thus, he had deliberately asked Hong Lian about this issue. Hong Lian told him, once a cultivator broke through to core formation, they could form a law domain. This law domain had no effect on cultivators of the same stage. But for those of lower stages, it was an absolute crush. Lu Changxing, by using a talisman formation and third-rank talisman, could catch a nascent soul cultivator by surprise and even hope to kill them. However, in a direct confrontation, once the opponent's core formation law domain unfolded, his own mana would become difficult to execute. At that time, even with a myriad of techniques, he would be unable to deploy them and stand no chance against core formation. Therefore, when encountering a nascent soul cultivator, one must never enter the range of their law domain, otherwise, it would be very dangerous. Ghost domain, ghost slaves. Speaking of which, could the endless guileful head possibly turn Xiahou Wuo's the dark demon corpse into a ghost slave? Lu Changsheng's thoughts paused suddenly. Since he could not control the dark demon corpse, he planned to use it to feed the abyssal ghoul blossom. But the abyssal ghoul blossom was still digesting Xiahou Wuo, so the dark demon corpse was still around for the time being. Now, seeing the abilities of the endless guileful head, he suddenly thought that if it managed to turn the dark demon corpse into a ghost slave, wouldn't its strength greatly increase? However, the endless guileful head can only enslave and refine into ghost slaves those weaker than itself. That the dark demon corpse is also at early third rank, so it might be difficult to refine it into a ghost slave. Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed slightly. The endless guileful head was formidable, but not so monstrous as to turn the dark demon corpse into a ghost slave. The dark demon corpse is currently suppressed by Mount Sumeru. It's worth a try. Lu Changxing rose to his feet, preparing to give it a try and see if it would be feasible. If it worked, it would naturally be for the best. If it didn't, it wouldn't matter. He could continue to feed the abyssal ghoul blossom. Let's go. Lu Changxing said to the endless guileful head. This endless guileful head had simple awareness. But a product of the system is guaranteed to be fine. The other party directly recognized him as the master, just like pet beasts that could communicate, and there was no possibility of it devouring its master. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, controlling this endless guileful head would constantly erode the mental spirit, thus affecting the temperament. Without a treasure that suppresses the mental spirit, once eroded to a certain extent by the endless guileful head, it would end up being possessed and consumed by it. Although the issues of recognition and consumption by the master were resolved, his current foundation establishment cultivation level meant he couldn't stay for long within the endless guileful head's ghost domain. Otherwise, even as its master, he would be affected by the ghost domain's effects. Hearing Lu Changsheng's words, the ferocious and terrifying head followed by his shoulder, accompanying him. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. TSK, why do I feel like I'm becoming more and more like a demonic path cultivator? Lu Changxing looked at the endless guileful head on his shoulder and couldn't help but shake his head. He felt that if he walked around in the outside world like this, he would definitely be treated as a demonic path cultivator. Arriving outside the Great Hall, looking at the dark demon corpse suspended in mid-air and imprisoned by Mount Sumeru, Lu Changxing said to the endless guileful head, "Go ahead. There's another advantage to being in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. That is, whatever you do, with Mount Sumeru there's no worry of accidents." Hoo, in the blink of an eye, the endless guileful head soared into the sky, hair wildly fluttering around, its aura becoming dark and frightening. A layer of pitch-black light accompanied by thin wisps of black mist spread out from it as the center, instantly covering the looming, vast form of the dark demon corpse. The entire sky above Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven suddenly became shrouded in dark miasma, with chilling winds howling, like the netherworld hell, horrifying and penetrating. This ghost domain looks a bit like a formation space. Lu Changxing stroked his chin while observing the ghost domain. He then shouted toward Mount Sumeru, Mount Sumeru. Streams of golden light fell upon Lu Changxing's body, enveloping him entirely and transforming into golden battle armor. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 785, Core Formation Law Domain. Corpse Charm manipulates the corpse charm. Lu Changxing, clad in golden battle armor that radiated light, entered the domain of the endless guileful head, the ghost domain, to survey the situation. As soon as he entered the ghost domain, he felt the mana within his body become heavy, slightly sluggish. Moreover, here, he was unable to sense nature's spiritual energy. So this is the ghost domain, Lu Changxing muttered to himself as he looked around. Everywhere was shrouded in a gray haze, and black winds howled, transforming into ghostly faces that wailed and sobbed, as if in mourning. A wave of sorrow, pain, panic, fear, loneliness, and despair surged into his heart. Such a terrifying ghost domain. If an ordinary chi refinement or foundation establishment cultivator were to enter this domain, they wouldn't even need the endless guileful head to act. Slowly, they would lose their minds, their heart demons stirred. Lu Changxing briefly experienced the impact and power of this ghost domain and was secretly shocked. He knew that within this ghost domain, the illusory divine skills of the endless guileful head could even provoke the heart demons of others. If there was any lapse in mental defense during a confrontation, it would mean a certain death. SAR the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Afterward, Lu Changxing turned his gaze towards the dark demon corpse shrouded in black mist. Go to. This dark demon corpse seemed to still possess some instincts. It sensed that it was being refined into a ghost slave and struggled instinctively. But faced with the dual suppression of Mount Sumeru and the endless guileful head, it was completely powerless to resist. At that moment, the endless guileful head also transmitted its intentions, expressing that it could refine the dark demon corpse into a ghost slave. However, once turned into a ghost slave, the strength of the dark demon corpse would diminish, losing its original divine might. And after it was turned into a ghost slave, doing so would also place a certain strain on the endless guileful head itself, limiting the total number of ghost slaves it could enslave in the future. How much will its combat strength decrease? Lu Changxing inquired of the endless guileful head. It will no longer possess its original divine skills, mostly relying on instinctual combat. The endless guileful head sent back a thought. That's already sufficient. The main combat strength of this dark demon corpse lies in its physical body. Moreover, once within the ghost domain, with the endless guileful head disrupting one's mental spirit, the dark demon corpse can overpower any ordinary nascent soul immortal head-on. They won't stand a chance. Lu Changxing felt the trade-off was worth it. Most importantly, by having the endless guileful head control the dark demon corpse, this third-rank corpse king would not suffer from backlash, sparing him the effort of nourishment. Having confirmed the situation regarding the endless guileful head and the dark demon corpse, Lu Changxing stepped out of the ghost domain, and the golden battle armor dissipated from around his body. Upon seeing the beautiful and seductive abyssal ghoul blossom by the spirit spring pond, Lu Changxing's brows furrowed slightly, a look of strangeness crossing his face. How come my path seems to be veering more and more towards the demon path? Lu Changxing said with a peculiar expression. No, my heart and actions are as clear as a bright mirror. After all, power is neither inherently good nor evil. It is how one uses it. That which is used for goodness is righteous, that which is used for evil is demonic. As someone like me, brimming with positive energy, having saved countless suffering souls, even if I possess some demonic methods, I am still of the righteous path. Lu Changxing nodded to himself, his expression resolute. At Baiyun Peak, in the Lu family mansion. Lu Changxing was spending time with Bai Ling. Now, Bai Ling's cultivation level had reached the pinnacle of the 9th level of energy refinement. With some more time spent polishing her spiritual power until it was round and flawless, she would be ready to attempt foundation establishment. Changxing, at that moment, Lu Miaoge sent him a message indicating something was amiss with Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Something's amiss? Lu Changsheng's brows lifted, and after asking Bai Ling to wait for him, he proceeded to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. It was only when he arrived at Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven that he realized what Lu Miaoge meant by something's amiss was the ghost domain formed by the endless guileful head. Sister Miaoge, there's no need to worry. I thought that keeping Xiahou Wowo's 3rd-rank corpse king idle would be a waste, so I used another method to refine and control it, Lu Changxing explained out loud. Changxing, refining corpses, methods of the demon path damage the natural order. If it's possible to use them less, it's better to avoid them, Lu Miaoge uttered with pursed lips after hearing him. Although she didn't reject her husband's use of demonic methods, she wasn't completely comfortable with it either. After all, in the Jiang country cultivation realm's portrayal of the demon path, it was considered extremely heinous and harmful to the natural order. Moreover, both the abyssal ghoul blossom and now the endless guileful head presented somewhat sinister and demonic scenes, raising concern that they might influence Lu Changxing. Should he become affected, it wouldn't just be him at risk, it would be all of Bai Lake Mountain. I understand, Sister Miaoge. Lu Changxing, knowing that she was concerned for him, took her hand seriously and reassured her. He expressed that he was aware of the implications and asked her not to worry. That night, when Ling Zixiao and Su Rian finished setting up the formation and returned from their tasks, they too were shocked to see the ghost domain above Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Su Rian, in particular, became even more convinced that Lu Changxing was not a good person. Is this a core formation law domain? No, this isn't just any law domain. Hong Lian and the ancient beast taming charm also witnessed this scene and sensed that something was amiss. She observed carefully and soon saw the endless guileful head inside, realizing that this ghost domain was even more formidable than a typical core formation law domain. It could even influence nascent soul cultivators to some extent. This is some kind of corpse refining method, where all divine skills and magical powers are converted into a law domain, tremendously powerful, enough to confront cultivators of the same rank. The young master is only at foundation establishment strength. How can he control such corpse refinement? The more Hong Lian observed, the more she was shocked, unable to comprehend how Lu Changxing managed to wield such a fearsome undead being. Corpse refining was different from beast taming. Spiritual beasts had sentient nature and could be gradually nurtured, tamed from a young age, thus recognizing a master. But corpse refinement entities mostly lacked sentience, having only instinctual awareness. They could be controlled only through various restrictive techniques, and loyalty to a master was virtually non-existent. Especially the more powerful and sinister the reanimated corpse, the truer this was, not suffering from backlash was already fortunate. To control the strong with the weak was exceedingly difficult. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 786, Core Formation Law Domain. Corpse Charm manipulates the corpse charm. So upon witnessing the situation with the endless guileful head, she was immensely alarmed and couldn't help but speculate more about Lu Changxing's previous life. Originally, from their years of interactions, she felt that Lu Changxing surely belonged to the righteous great powers reincarnated for a new phase of cultivation. But at this moment, she believed that Lu Changxing's former life was probably one of both righteous and demonic cultivation, an existence that was both upright and evil. Definitely not some purely righteous path. Lu Changxing, of course, had no idea about Hong Lian's speculations. However, Ling Zixiao's attitude was similar to that of Lu Miaoge, in the sense that demonic methods could be used, but caution was still needed. With that in mind, Lu Changxing planned to keep any demonic-oriented rewards he would receive in the future as hidden as possible. Otherwise, having a bunch of demonic rewards at home really wouldn't look too good. Lu Family Mansion. Pingan, How is your progress with the 100 Refinements treasure body art? One day, Lu Changxing found his son Lu Pingan and came to check on his 100 Refinements treasure body art. Source, web novel. Updated on. Dad, Lu Pingan immediately spoke up, explaining his current cultivation situation. Not bad. After inspecting, Lu Changxing had a general understanding of his son's level. The compatibility with the cultivation technique was average, and the pace of cultivation was also average. But the key was stability. Steady, methodical practice, without any major issues. Refine this magical treasure and then condense it into your body. Lu Changxing took out the black great axe belonging to Xiahou Wua from his storage bag. Although all three magical treasures were of inferior grade, this black great axe was considered the best. Therefore, Lu Changxing handed it directly to his eldest son for cultivation. A magical treasure? To condense it into my body? Lu Pingan was startled upon hearing this, as if he had misheard. Then, looking at the black great axe in front of him, he was utterly confused and didn't understand what was going on. This is a magical treasure? Lu Pingan looked at the magical treasure before him, utterly baffled. Previously, when Lu Changxing had given him a badly damaged black dragon magical bead, it had already shocked and confused him. Now, to suddenly produce a seemingly undamaged magical treasure indeed left him at a loss for words. Aren't magical treasures supposed to be items that only nascent soul immortals can utilize, according to the legends? He felt his father was showing him a bit too much favoritism. Between gifting him a spiritual root and now a magical treasure for cultivation, he truly felt a weighty sense of responsibility. He thought it might be better to sell the magical treasure and convert it into cultivation resources to distribute within the family. Pingan, you should know that a man is not guilty for bearing jade, but he incurs guilt by possessing it. With treasures like magical treasures, once they're sold, they would invite trouble to our family. Therefore, the best approach is to use them for cultivation, to realize their value. Lu Changxing's words to his son were filled with a mix of helplessness and pride. He continued, furthermore, by utilizing this magical treasure to enhance your strength, you'll be able to contribute back to the family in the future, so there's no such thing as waste. Yes, Dad. Lu Pingan pursed his lips and spoke in a firm tone. CTH Novelfire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He felt a heavy sense of responsibility. Alright, start refining it, your father will watch over you. Lu Changxing spoke up. Okay. Lu Pingan nodded and began to channel his mental spirit and spiritual power like an invisible fire, beginning to refine the black great axe before him. Lu Changxing watched by the side. He would let his son refine it on his own each day, as long as there were no issues with his technique, and notify himself when ready to integrate it into his body. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 787, Core Formation Law Domain. Corpse Charm manipulates the corpse charm. _4 After giving a magical treasure to Lu Pingan for his cultivation of the 100 Refinements treasure body art, Lu Changxing considered how to allocate the remaining 2 magical treasures and the magical treasure embryo. Thinking of his daughter Lu Wangshu's talent and comprehension, Lu Changxing planned to let this daughter try practicing the 100 Refinements treasure body art as well. After all, as long as one could comprehend this cultivation technique, with the condensed magical treasure integrated into the body to assist in cultivation, there would be no need to spend time on it every day, thus not delaying other cultivations. Lu Changxing soon found his daughter Lu Wangshu, who was fishing. This daughter, having undergone the medicinal bath baptism and broken through to the 2nd level of qi refinement, was now able to go fishing by herself. Although she could not yet fly, she could let the cold blue dark turtle take her out to fish. This made Lu Changxing somewhat regret why he had given the cold blue dark turtle to his daughter in the first place. However, upon arriving at Bai Shui Lake, Lu Changxing saw his daughter practicing talisman making while fishing, and he immediately felt a great sense of relief. Daddy. Lu Wangshu was not formally making talismans, but was practicing with ordinary paper and ink. Seeing Lu Changxing arrive, she immediately called out sweetly. Source, web novel. Com, updated on. Ko, Wangshu, how long have you been fishing today? Lu Changxing asked gently, coming over. Daddy, I've only been here for a little while, she replied. And I feel that practicing talisman making while fishing gives me a better feeling. Lu Wangshu said with a face full of sweetness and cuteness. Hee hee. Lu Changxing was not at all deceived by her sweet and cute appearance. After all, he had a clear idea of what his little cotton-padded jacket was like after raising her for so many years. He said aloud, Wangshu, Daddy has something good for you, do you want it? Something good? What is it, Daddy? Upon hearing this, Lu Wangshu immediately became interested. She resembled her mother Xiao Xia, with a delicate oval face, a full and fair forehead, arched eyebrows, and a pair of bright big eyes that seemed to glow with intelligence, vivacious and attractive. Come with Daddy. Lu Changxing picked up his daughter and brought her back to the Lu family mansion. He then took out a purple thunder bead and expressed that he had a cultivation technique. Once mastered, one would possess immense strength, a body as formidable as magic artifacts and spiritual artifacts. Moreover, once one got through the initial stages of cultivation, one could use this purple thunder bead to assist in cultivation without having to practice hard oneself. Daddy, I want to practice, I want to practice. Lu Wangshu immediately cried out excitedly upon hearing this. Having experienced the joy of a strong physical body after the medicinal bath baptism, she was very interested in this type of body cultivation. Especially knowing that she could cultivate automatically without having to spend time struggling through practice, her interest was piqued even more. Seeing his daughter's interest, what followed was naturally an easy conversation. Lu Changxing began to teach his daughter the 100 refinements treasure body art. An hour later. Daddy, I've already memorized it, Lu Wangshu crisply said. Good, since that's the case, start your cultivation, and Daddy will watch over you, Lu Changxing said with a warm smile. A quarter of an hour later, Lu Changxing saw his daughter Lu Wangshu slowly enter the state of cultivation. Tisk, seeing the speed of his daughter's progress, Lu Changxing couldn't help but think of his son Lu Pingan. He remembered it took his son an entire day to get into the state. And then it took 3 to 4 days for him to barely get through the threshold, and his cultivation was still fraught with hiccups. It seems the gap between people can sometimes be even greater than that between humans and demon beasts, Lu Changxing thought to himself. He gained a deeper understanding of his daughter's talent and comprehension. Just like that, he quietly watched his daughter's cultivation. Once she was almost done, he took out a golden essence stone to try absorbing the essence of the material. This step took Lu Wangshu only half a day. In 3 days, Lu Wangshu had fully mastered the basics. She also gained a clear understanding of refining treasure into the body and could attempt to refine magical treasures. However, at the moment, her mental spirit and spiritual power were too weak to refine magical treasures. She would need to be at least in the middle stage of qi refinement. Faced with this situation, Lu Wangshu suddenly found a new drive for her daily cultivation practices. Before, she had been somewhat perfunctory about her daily cultivation. After all, children at that age tended to be playful, and Lu Changxing didn't want to be too strict. Seeing how his daughter became more diligent in her cultivation because of this matter, he was happy to let her be. After teaching his daughter, he tried to teach his sons, Lu Yun, Lu Chuanjun, and Lu Qingxian, the 100 refinements treasure body art. But his 3 sons were far from satisfactory, encountering many difficulties in their cultivation, and not quite suitable for it. Faced with this, Lu Changxing did not insist. He knew that daughters like Lu Wangshu were rare after all, and that he still needed to find children with a talent for body refinement. Immediately, Lu Changxing, through the system, found another daughter, Lu Qingyan. This daughter was the child of a concubine named Xiao Qing. A 6th grade spiritual root, with 41% body refinement talent, she had just completed drawing qi into her body. For this daughter, Lu Changxing did not teach her right away but decided to observe her temperament first. After all, the cultivation of the treasure body technique must not be as recklessly intense as most body refining techniques, and she was still young, only 12 years old. In the blink of an eye, more than a month passed. During this time, Lu Changxing spent most of his time accompanying his wives and children, paying attention to the cultivation progress of his children. That day, Lu Changxing received a letter from Xiao Xia. In the letter, Xiao Xia informed him that the Qingyun sect had found traces of Xiahou Wuwa. The adversary had slain several forces and was likely to come to the Qingyun region. If the adversary came to the Qingyun region, there was a high chance that he would target Bai Lake Mountain over the past affair with Xiahou Wushu. Even though she knew that Bai Lake Mountain was protected by the Mount Sumra Tree King, Xiao Xia still wrote to warn Lu Changxing to be extra careful and cautious. He. Sir, the novel _fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing, looking at the letter, felt a warmth in his heart. Through the fragmented memories of Xiahou Wuwa, he knew that Xiahou Wuwa had started causing trouble in the Myriad Beasts mountain range and the Imperial Spirit Sect's domain. The last known location was in the border area between the Qingyun sect and the Spirit Taming sect. However, such information was subject to delays, hence Xiao Xia only received the news now. In fact, this was also one of Xiahou Wuo's calculations, done deliberately. By causing a commotion in these places and drawing attention, he could then directly head to Bai Lake Mountain. Because Xiahou Wuo also knew that Bai Lake Mountain was not far from the Qingyun sect, deep within the Qingyun region. If the Qingyun sect discovered him and sent pursuers, it would be very dangerous. Immediately, Lu Changxing replied to Xiao Xia, indicating that he would be cautious. As for the fact that Xiahou Wuo had already died on Bai Lake Mountain, he did not mention it. Although such correspondence was highly confidential and would self-destruct if someone attempted to access it, with numerous methods within the cultivation world, it might still be intercepted by some means. Half a month later, the endless guileful had finally succeeded in transforming the dark demon corpse into a ghost slave. If it were not for the suppression of the Mount Sumra Tree King, with the current power of the endless guileful head, it would have been impossible to transform the dark demon corpse into a ghost slave. After completing the transformation, Lu Changxing placed the endless guileful head into the Yin corpse bag, specifically designed to contain refinements of corpses. This knowledge came from the corpse refinement inheritance memories of Xiahou Wuo. Such creatures, mostly required to be placed in Yin veins, turbid qi, and special refinement lands for nurturing. Only in this way could the refinements slowly grow and increase in power. If kept outside for long periods, absorbing too much of nature's spiritual energy, not only would they fail to grow, but they could even regress. This Yin corpse bag, which was also obtained from Xiahou Wuo, was considered a treasure. Ordinary first and second rank refinements placed inside could be enhanced. For refinements like the dark demon corpse and the endless guileful head, which were third rank, it had little effect. It could only ensure that the refinements would not regress. If they were greatly exhausted or damaged, they could also slowly recover within the Yin corpse bag. However, to advance their growth, aside from being buried in a third-rank corpse nurturing ground, they needed to be fed with flesh and blood and re-refined. Husband, it's a letter from Fairy Zhao. That day, Lu Miaoyan indicated that Zhao Qingxing had sent a letter. Lu Changxing opened the letter and read it. Zhao Qingxing informed that she had successfully broken through to Foundation establishment and invited Lu Changxing to the Qingyun sect to join a small celebration. Broke through to Foundation establishment successfully, Lu Changxing murmured with a light chuckle while looking at the letter in his hand. He was not surprised by Zhao Qingxing's breakthrough to Foundation establishment. Given her spiritual root talent, preparation, and the probabilities, the odds were not small. He then planned to visit the Qingyun sect later to attend the small celebration. Not only could he catch up with a good friend, but he could also meet Xiao Xia and see the children of the Qingyun sect who were cultivating. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 788, Foundation Establishment Celebration. Zhao Qingqing's initiative _1/2 a month later, Hong Yi arrived at Bai Lake Mountain. He had also received an invitation from Zhao Qingqing. Therefore, this trip to Bai Lake Mountain was to prepare to visit Qingyun's sect together with Lu Changxing. He also took the opportunity to visit his son, Hong Xuanji. You won't need much longer to break through the 6th level energy refinement. Hong Yi felt both surprised and delighted upon hearing his son's words. His son, now 23 years old, was about to break through to the 6th level energy refinement. This pace of cultivation had already surpassed most of his peers. It should be known that he himself was still at the cultivation level of 6th level energy refinement. Yes, and Uncle Lu has allowed our family to teach me an exquisite level cultivation technique. Source, web novel. Com, updated on. Hong Xuanji said to his father in a quiet voice. An exquisite level cultivation technique. Upon hearing these words, Hong Yi was inwardly shocked. Though the father and son had exchanged letters, the son had not mentioned this matter in his letters. Now, hearing it for the first time, he was at a loss for words. With such kindness from brother Lu, I, Hong Yi, have no way to repay. Hong Yi felt deeply moved, not expecting the other party to take such good care of his son. Thinking of their 30 years of acquaintance, and how he owed much of his current achievement to Lu Changsheng's support, he spoke solemnly, Xuanji, you concentrate on your cultivation and responsibilities at Bai Lake Mountain. If there is anything, you can ask your Chuanjin brother for advice and write to your father, Hong Yi so instructed. Since Lu Chuanjin had experienced the secular world in his early years, Hong Yi always encouraged his son to keep company with Lu Chuanjin, and the two had a very good relationship. Your son understands, Hong Xuanji responded in a low voice. He resembled his father, Hong Yi, in appearance. But compared to Hong Yi in his youth, he lacked a bit of haughtiness and possessed a bit more steadiness. When Lu Changxing found out that Hong Yi was coming over, he went to the guest hall to greet him. Brother Lu. Uncle Lu. Both of them promptly said with respect. Haha, Brother Hong, Xuanji. Lu Changxing, in a green robe, smiled and appeared casual and at ease. Xuanji has been causing Brother Lu trouble these years. Hong Yi politely said to Lu Changxing. He was dressed in a purple brocade and wore a purple gold crown, and having long been accustomed to a life of dignity and high position, he carried an aura of authority without anger. Yet in the presence of Lu Changxing, he unconsciously took a very humble posture. Haha, Brother Hong, you're too courteous. Xuanji has performed quite well over the years, and there's no trouble at all, Lu Changxing said as he waved his hand. Since Lu Chuanjin had gone out into the world, Hong Xuanji had taken on a leadership role in the wine brewing workshop, and he was quite capable in both personal conduct and skill. Moreover, Lu Changxing had learned from his wife Chu Zhenjin that, due to the relationship with Lu Chuanjin, his daughter Lu Caizhen and Hong Xuanji had grown quite close. Straight away, the two men sat down to catch up and chat. Who would have thought that among the 6 of us back then, 3 would become Foundation Establishment great cultivators? Such an achievement is enough for me to boast for many years. I have no regrets in this life, Hong Yi said with a smile, remarking with emotion. It was beyond his expectations that, 30 years ago, 6 of them were selected to join the Qingyun sect for the Immortal sex assessment. As time passed, 3 of them consecutively broke through to Foundation Establishment. Brother Hong is still young. If you focus on cultivation, perhaps you too can break through to Foundation Establishment. Lu Changxing noticed Hong Yi's cultivation level, at the 6th level energy refinement. If he put in the effort, he had a chance to attempt Foundation Establishment by the age of 60. Although the hope of successfully establishing his foundation was very slim. Brother Lu jests, how could I dare to dream of such a thing as Foundation Establishment, Hong Yi said with a shake of his head and laughter. Though there were 3 Foundation Establishment great cultivators around him, such an endeavor still seemed out of reach for him, and he dared not covet it. Currently, even a high-rank breakthrough elixir was too costly for him to consider buying without hesitation. Besides, now that his son, Hong Xuanji, proved to have such promise, if he, as a father, could save up a considerable sum of money, his son might have a future chance to break through to foundation establishment. Heh heh, Lu Chongqing chuckled and didn't dwell on the topic. He was aware that after becoming the Marquis of Rui, Hong Yi gradually lacked ambition in cultivation. Furthermore, given the other's age and spiritual root, unless there was a major fortuity, there indeed wasn't much hope for foundation establishment. After briefly catching up, they stayed at Bai Lake Mountain for 2 days before heading to Qingyun sect. 3 days later, a flying boat descended in front of the gates of Qingyun sect. Lu Chongqing took out a transmission talisman. Not long after, a verdant escape light flew from the gate, enveloped in the spiritual pressure of a foundation establishment cultivator. Greetings, Martial Uncle. Greetings, Martial Uncle. The disciples guarding the gate promptly offered their respects upon seeing the newcomer. Although they didn't necessarily recognize the person, in Qingyun sect, energy refining cultivators addressed foundation establishment cultivators as Martial Uncle as a matter of course. Lu Daoist, Hong Daoist, the newcomer was Zhao Qingqing. Her skin was fair, her figure tall and graceful, wearing a green-colored dress, with her long, silky black hair neatly gathered, and with a plum blossom jade hairpin slanting across it. Her beautiful features were adorned with a gentle smile. After breaking through to foundation establishment, her charisma was exceptional. Her entire being exuded a vibrant and fresh aura of flourishing plants and grass, elegant like an orchid in a secluded valley, touching the soul. Zhao Daoist, congratulations on your breakthrough to foundation establishment. Lu Chongqing and Hong Yi bowed with their hands folded and then offered the congratulatory gifts they had prepared. Thank you both, Daoist friends. Please, this way. Zhao Qingqing accepted the gifts and looked at Lu Chongqing with a tender gaze. It is customary to adjust one's state thoroughly after a breakthrough to ensure the vitality, energy, and spirit are abundant, and one's thoughts are clear. Sar the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At the time of her breakthrough, she had questioned her deepest heart and had come to understand many things more clearly. Then, the three of them entered the gate and came to a mountain peak filled with ancient pines and green cypresses, cascading waterfalls, and palaces reaching thousands of feet high where they descended at the waist of the mountain. This spirit vein of Qingyun sect is truly grand, Lu Chongqing remarked, eyeing the many peaks of Qingyun sect, guessing each must contain at least a second-rank spirit vein, and he couldn't help feeling envious. Zhao Qingqing's modest foundation establishment celebration was to be held at her own abode. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 789, Foundation Establishment Celebration. Zhao Qingqing's initiative. The dwelling wasn't large, covering only about 7 or 8 acres. But it had everything one needed: a main courtyard, quiet rooms, gardens, ponds, spirit fields, a medicinal herb garden, and a beast pen. At this moment, the main hall was filled with a gathering of cultivators. Most of them were foundation establishment cultivators, with only a few energy refining cultivators present. Although it was a minor celebration for the foundation establishment, within Qingyun sect, foundation establishment cultivators still held some weight, considered as part of the middle hierarchy. Therefore, whenever someone broke through to foundation establishment, many fellow sect members and friends would come to offer congratulations and network. Especially for a female cultivator like Zhao Qingqing, who was skilled in the botany and pharmacology of spirit plants and had a vague body suitable for logistical support, many came with ulterior motives. The moment the three of them walked into the hall, many eyes landed straight on them. Hong Yi's face turned pale, his body felt heavy, and he nearly collapsed to the ground. There were more than 10 foundation establishment cultivators in the room. Although they weren't deliberately exuding their foundation establishment spiritual pressure, they didn't completely suppress it either. As a result, when such gazes converged, it posed a huge pressure for an ordinary energy refining cultivator. Source, web novel. Com, updated on. Lu Changsheng's body exuded an invisible spiritual pressure, which made Hong Yi relax all over. This is my good friend, Lu Changsheng of Bai Lake Mountain. This is my good friend, Hong Yi. Lu Daoist, Hong Daoist, please take a seat. These are all my fellow sect brothers and sisters, no need to be polite. Seeing this, Zhao Qingxing immediately introduced them out loud to ease the awkwardness. Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Changsheng. He is indeed the Lu Mountain Lord of Bai Lake Mountain, so very handsome. I've heard that this mountain master of Bai Lake Mountain is incomparably handsome, and it truly isn't an undeserved reputation. Once Zhao Qingxing introduced him, the crowd in the hall turned their attention to Lu Changsheng. Although they were disciples of Qingyun's sect, the name of Bai Lake Mountain Master, Lu Changsheng, was not unfamiliar to them. Whether it was his defeat of the Yu family's 3 foundation establishment cultivators or the suppression of Xiahou money, as well as the slaying of 6 robber cultivators during the Red Leaf Valley market incident years ago, his reputation had greatly risen. I, Lu Rian, have long heard of Mountain Lord Lu's great name. It is a fortune to meet you today, so I'd like to honor Mountain Lord Lu with a toast, said a buxom woman in a yellow dress, picking up a cup of spiritual wine and greeting Lu Changsheng with a smile. I am Fang Heng, and I have seen Lu Daoist. I am Wu Jiujiu, and I have seen Lu Daoist. I am. Several cultivators in the hall warmly greeted Lu Changsheng. Although as disciples of the Immortal sects, they usually did not hold loose cultivators and small family forces in high regard, someone like Lu Changsheng, who had shown remarkable combat abilities and was also a second-tier top-level talisman master, was naturally someone they were very willing to make connections with. Lu Daoist, Hong Daoist. Han Lin was also there to attend the celebration, and he greeted Lu Changsheng and Hong Yi. He, Han Daoist. Hong Yi cupped his hands in salute towards Han Lin and took a seat next to him. He knew gatherings like this were out of his world. Not all foundation establishment great cultivators were like Lu Changsheng, who remembered old friendships and were willing to make connections with him. Everyone is too kind. Lu Changsheng, under the enthusiastic and proactive greetings of the others, quickly became integrated into the group. He was somewhat surprised that Xiao Xie had not come. Though Xiao Xie and Zhao Qingxing weren't particularly close, such a small foundation establishment celebration would typically warrant her congratulations. Through asking around, he found out that due to the matter with Xiahou money, Xiao Xie had gone out on a mission. While drinking and chatting with everyone, Lu Changxing noticed a plump cultivator casting envious glances at him from time to time. After paying a bit more attention, he learned the identity of this individual. It turned out to be Zhao Qingxing's master's grandson, named Lu Gongliang, who had failed his foundation establishment breakthrough 3 years ago. With that, Lu Changxing roughly guessed why the other party was envious. However, as long as the other party did not provoke him, Lu Changxing couldn't be bothered to deal with him. The celebration lasted a long time, with people coming and going, some leaving halfway, and others arriving later to give their congratulations and join the event. As night fell and they had their fill of food and drink, Lu Daoist, Hong Daoist, as it's getting late, why don't you both stay here for the night? Zhao Qingxing said to Lu Changsheng and Hong Yi. Since that's the case, well, trouble you then, Zhao Daoist, said Lu Changsheng after a brief pause. He had intended to visit his children on this trip. Now that it was already late and he had drunk so much, it wasn't convenient for him to go there. Soon after, Zhao Qingxing arranged accommodation for both of them. Lu Daoist. After showing Lu Changxing to his room, Zhao Qingxing didn't immediately leave. What's the matter? Lu Changsheng looked towards the tall and graceful Zhao Qingxing in her blue-green silk dress, fresh and refined. She had drunk quite a lot, her beautiful and refined face blushed with a hint of tipsiness, adding a bit more charm to her demeanor. Although cultivators can use their mana to dispel the effects of alcohol, most wouldn't do so as it removes the pleasure of drinking and dissipates the benefits of the spiritual wine. If it weren't for Lu Daoist's premium foundation establishment elixir, Qingxing certainly wouldn't have been able to break through to foundation establishment, so I am deeply grateful to Lu Daoist, Zhao Qingxing said, her eyes filled with gratitude as she gave a deep bow. Saw the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She had indeed succeeded in her foundation establishment, but having gone through the process herself, she realized just how difficult it was. She knew that if she hadn't had Lu Changsheng's foundation establishment elixir, based on the meridian protecting elixir she had prepared originally, she surely would have failed the breakthrough. Zhao Daoist is too kind. The main reason for your breakthrough is your own efforts. The foundation establishment elixir simply added a final touch, Lu Changsheng said with a smile, waving his hand lightly to indicate that there was no need for formality. With such a favor from Lu Daoist, Qingqing feels ashamed and doesn't know how to repay you, said Zhao Qingqing, standing tall and blushing as she looked at Lu Changsheng. Then, as if gathering her courage, she took hold of Lu Changsheng's hand, her eyes filled with shyness. Lu Changsheng was slightly startled when Zhao Qingqing's soft and delicate hand grasped his own. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 790, Foundation Establishment Celebration. Zhao Qingqing's initiative whiffs of intoxicating scent that delighted the heart and spleen, rich and fragrant, filled the air, and a pair of tender, bashful eyes full of gentle affection looked at him. Lu Daoist, you said before, Zhao Qingqing, her face flushed with shyness, began softly. However, before she could finish speaking, a warm breath rushed towards her face, and she felt her lips being captured. Lu Changsheng pulled the beautiful woman tightly into his arms, skillfully seizing the sweetness. Since Zhao Qingqing was so forward, he naturally would not hold back, pretending to be a gentleman. After all, with matters such as these, if you're not proactive and seize the opportunity, you might just miss it. In the face of this sudden storm, Zhao Qingqing's delicate frame shuddered, her body rigid yet tingling. Subsequently, she felt a large hand traverse the towering peaks of her chest, sweeping over the mountains and causing waves of numbness through her body. Her shapely legs trembled and could hardly support her. In such a situation, her only choice was to lift her slender arms and gently cling to Lu Changsheng's neck. Gently. I can't breathe. Source, web novel. Com, updated on. It was unclear how much time had passed when Zhao Qingqing, having just achieved foundation establishment, was gasping for air. Her clear, beautiful face flushed red, her lustrous black hair became disheveled, and her bright, beautiful eyes were filled with emotions and timidity. Her green dress too bore the wrinkles of their embrace. Qingqing, Lu Changsheng held Zhao Qingqing's hand, his gaze deep with feeling as he looked at her. Lu Lang, be gentle. Zhao Qingqing's eyes looked drunken, her face flushed, her forehead coy, voicing her nervous anxiety. As soon as she finished speaking, her lips were again forcefully claimed. Without a doubt, this was a prelude. Intimately, the two moved towards the bedside, accompanied by rustling sounds. The green dress began to slip away, revealing bright lights, the skin beneath as tender and pale as jade. Before long, the beauty was left only in her pair of green embroidered shoes and the white silk stockings wrapped around her jade feet. Zhao Qingqing had a fine figure, well proportioned. But what attracted the most attention were her shapely, long legs, not just for their length, but also for their plump and firm texture. Possibly due to her cultivation technique, her skin was extraordinarily fair and smooth, with a refreshing fragrance. Qingqing. Lu Changsheng carried the beauty to the bed, intending to say something. But seeing her shy face, her eyes timid yet inviting, looking ready to be plucked, he said no more. At this time, silence spoke volumes. Under the hazy night, two figures in the room gradually merged as one. The next day, the morning light pierced through layers of clouds, shining through the lattice windows into the loft. Zhao Qingqing woke up, her hair disheveled, her skin rosy white and radiant, glowing with a lustrous sheen. She lay there uncovered, save for the exquisite jade feet clad in white silk stockings. You're awake. At that moment, Lu Changsheng awoke, speaking warmly with a laugh. His demeanor was calm and natural, as if a couple years deep in love, utterly at ease. Zhao Qingqing looked at the handsome face before her, the robust and powerful body, and her cheeks tinged pink. Though somewhat tipsy the previous night, she was more or less lucid, merely emboldened by the alcohol. She just hadn't expected that her long-mustered courage, barely put into action, would be met with such initiative from Lu Changxing, and then her mind became as muddled. Zhao Qingqing replied softly, suddenly at a loss for words. After all, though she had been prepared, she hadn't expected things to happen so fast. Do you have matters to attend to today? If not, you might as well rest a little longer. Lu Changxing spoke softly. I've just broken through to Foundation establishment, and there are some new affairs in the sect that I need to get acquainted with, Sir the Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Zhao Qingqing replied, her voice husky and alluring. Has your master been giving you trouble? Lu Changxing asked. He knew Zhao Qingqing had not been valued in her sect because of her master's attitude, forcing her to rely on herself. Before, the master was just neglecting me, not making things too difficult. Since my breakthrough, he has taken the initiative to visit me, entrusting many matters of the herb garden to me. Zhao Qingqing said softly. This breakthrough allowed her to see more of the world's indifference and warmth. For example, during the small celebration of her foundation establishment, many fellow disciples whom she had never met before, or even knew little, came to congratulate her. Even her master, right after her breakthrough, congratulated her and extended his goodwill. It was precisely because of this that she felt even more grateful for Lu Changsheng's timely help, deeming such kindness beyond repayment. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 791, Emperor's Flow Liquid, by Ling's Breakthrough in Foundation Establishment _1 inch. If anything happens, you can tell me, and you're welcome to come to Bai Lake Mountain anytime, Lu Changxing said warmly. He didn't say that he wanted Zhao Qingqing to follow him back to Bai Lake Mountain. For one, she was currently in the Qingyun sect, which was clearly better, and it would be convenient to go to Bai Lake Mountain later on. Moreover, as cultivators and Foundation Establishment cultivators, there was no need to insist on getting married immediately. Sir the Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Since they were fellow practitioners, holding a ceremony to become cultivation partners in the future would suffice. In fact, Lu Changxing also hoped that his wife, concubines, and cultivation partners could have their own accomplishments and not necessarily be confined to Bai Lake Mountain. As for having children, as long as it came naturally, love would certainly bear fruit. Okay, Zhao Qingqing responded softly. The two snuggled and chatted for a while, then got up, dressed, and walked out of the room. Although it was Zhao Qingqing's first time, she was after all a foundation building great cultivator and didn't suffer too much. Source, web novel. Com, updated on. Moreover, since she had a vague body and cultivated wood attribute techniques, her recovery was extraordinary. Hong Yi was somewhat surprised to see Lu Changxing and Zhao Qingqing walking together intimately. Indeed, when he first met Zhao Qingqing the day before, he noticed her looking at Lu Changxing with more warmth than in the early years, but he didn't expect them to be so intimately natural. Some guesses formed in his mind, but he didn't ask further. He knew this was not something he should concern himself with. It was like earlier on when he realized the relationship between Lu Changxing and Xiao Xie seemed more than ordinary. Brother Lu, Daoist Xiao. Hong Yi greeted them with a hearty smile on his face. Brother Hong, I'm planning to see my children before returning. Will you come with me or wait here for me? Lu Changxing asked Hong Yi. Brother Lu, please feel free to go, just let me know when you're leaving, Hong Yi replied. All right. Lu Changxing nodded and then went with Zhao Qingqing to see their children. Although Zhao Qingqing also had things to attend to, there was no hurry. Moreover, as an outsider, it wasn't convenient for Lu Changxing to wander around the Qingyun sect alone. Tisk, Hong Yi watched as Lu Changxing and Zhao Qingxing turned into beams of escape light and left, feeling quite emotional. He vividly recalled how 10 years ago, Xiao Xia invited Lu Changxing to experience the mortal world, and their relationship gradually grew closer. Now it was the same with Zhao Qingxing. But when did the two of them become patrons of Bai Lake Mountain? Or Foundation establishers? Hong Yi pondered a little before shaking his head, dispelling the thought. When he saw Xiao Xia asking Lu Changxing to travel the mortal world, he had felt a bit bitter. But now, seeing Lu Changxing with Zhao Qingxing, all he thought was that Lu Changxing was awesome. Daddy, Auntie Zhao. Father, Auntie Zhao. Guided by Zhao Qingxing, it didn't take long for Lu Changxing to meet his children, Lu Yunlu and Lu Xingyue. The brother and sister were both dressed in Qingyun sect disciples' robes. One was graceful and elegant, the other handsome and upright. Seeing the siblings before him, he couldn't help but think of his other children far away in the Jinyang sect, Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu. His children before him lived close by and had returned home once 2 years ago. Yet his children in that distant nation hadn't been seen for 9 years. Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu were even a year older than Lu Xingyue, and he imagined they must have grown up too. How have you been in the sect these years? Lu Changxing looked at his children before him and asked gently. Daddy, we've been good in the sect. I've broken through the 5th level of energy refinement, and not long ago, I was promoted to a middle-grade physician, Lu Xingyue said with a hint of happiness on her face, chattering about her own situation. Her brother Lu Yunlu also joined the conversation. But with a relatively subdued personality and few words, he was at the 5th level of energy refinement and a 3rd-grade artifact refiner. While chatting with his children, Lu Changxing had thought about meeting Xia Zhaoyang, but upon learning that this good-for-nothing brother-in-law was out on a mission, he understood better. He was aware that the affairs of the Qingyun sect were roughly divided into external and internal duties. Like Zhao Qingxing and Han Lin, they were involved in internal duties and were not adept at fighting. Most of their time was spent cultivating within the sect, handling internal affairs, and producing for the sect. While people like Xiao Xia and Xia Zhaoyang, who focused on cultivation and had no skills, often chose to go on external missions, such as overseeing the marketplace or joining the enforcement hall, battle hall, and so on. After a brief visit with his children, Lu Changxing announced that both had affairs to attend to and that, in the absence of their uncle, they could also seek out Zhao Qingxing often. Now that Zhao Qingxing had broken through to Foundation establishment and become the person in charge of the medicinal garden, she held not insignificant power and status, even higher than that of Xia Zhaoyang, an inner sect disciple. After visiting his children, Lu Changxing didn't stay for long and left with Hong Yi aboard a spirit boat, returning to Bai Lake Mountain. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed. During this time, Ling Zixiao had settled on a cultivation method, choosing the 12 Heavens demon spirit art. She chose this technique partly because she liked it, and also because it was a better fit for her than the vermilion bird sky scorching art. After these months of cultivation, Bai Ling had finally refined his spiritual power to be smooth and perfect, ready for Foundation establishment. In just 16 short years, it's time for the Foundation establishment. Lu Changxing thought of how he had picked up Bai Ling just 16 years ago, and now she was about to attempt Foundation establishment. He couldn't help but marvel at the speed of her talent. None of his many children had yet broken through the 7th level energy refinement in terms of cultivation, which made him sigh. He could only hope that his 2 precious daughters and his son Lu Xingchen with a 3rd-grade spiritual root would grow up to be more promising. As for Bai Ling's Foundation establishment, he had made arrangements in advance, ensuring a Foundation establishment elixir was ready. As for the breakthrough, it would take place within the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. Not only was there a spiritual eye spring in the cave heaven, but Mount Sumeru also provided abundant spiritual energy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 792, Emperor's Flow Liquid. By Ling's breakthrough in Foundation Establishment therefore, one could directly undergo the Foundation Establishment in the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven without being noticed by others or any powers. In preparation for Bai Ling's breakthrough in Foundation Establishment, Lu Changxing had specially asked Mount Sumeru to gather spiritual energy in advance, bringing the spiritual energy of his closed-door cultivation chamber to the second-tier top level, forming a thin mist visible to the naked eye. Little Linger, are you ready? In the cultivation chamber, Lu Changxing played with an ancient beast-taming charm in his hand and looked at Bai Ling before him, speaking in a gentle voice. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The reason for holding the ancient beast-taming charm was twofold. On one hand, to use Hong Lian to observe the mutations in Bai Ling's bloodline. On the other hand, it was to assist Bai Ling by using the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon he had raised, helping her transform the nature's spiritual energy to ensure a risk-free breakthrough in Foundation Establishment. Brother, I am ready, Bai Ling said earnestly with her delicate and pure face. Having spent many years at Bai Lake Mountain, she understood what Foundation Establishment represented. She knew that once she broke through the Foundation Establishment, she might be able to help her brother. Then, under Lu Changsheng's watchful eye, she closed her distinct black and white, peach blossom-like eyes and silently operated the Black Dragon Codex. Not knowing how long had passed, when she realized her condition had reached the peak her brother had spoken of, she hesitated no longer and swallowed the premium Foundation Establishment elixir. It started. Lu Changxing watched Bai Ling silently. The first of the three barriers to Foundation Establishment was the Qi and Blood barrier. Countless streams of nature's spiritual energy converged and surged against Bai Ling's physical body. Lu Changxing had no worries about this barrier. On one hand, the Black Dragon Codex was for magical dual cultivation, and regular practice included tempering the physical body. On the other hand, it should be Bai Ling's bloodline that made her physical body much stronger than normal people, supple and tough, full of resilience. Unlike Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin, who not only spent a lot of time with him but even needed to call for other concubines. But Bai Ling, though she appeared delicate and timid, could withstand. Indeed, under the onslaught of the nature's spiritual energy, Bai Ling showed no signs of distress, allowing it to wash over her. The three barriers of Foundation Establishment have been passed. In the Cave Heaven, Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoga felt the stir and knew that Bai Ling had started the final step of Foundation Establishment. At this moment, they were not cultivating and let Mount Sumeru gather all the spiritual energy in the Cave Heaven for Bai Ling, to assist her breakthrough. Inside the cultivation chamber, Lu Changxing was bored as he watched Bai Ling push through her breakthrough. Just then, suddenly, a mysterious fluctuation accompanied by a system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to the host for the number of spiritual root offspring reaching 50, earning one targeted lottery chance. Lu Changxing knew that a concubine at home had given birth to a spiritual root offspring. Through this fluctuation, he knew the child's spiritual root was ordinary, probably only a 7th-grade spiritual root. This was normal, after all, both parents possessed a spiritual root, which only relatively improved the child's spiritual root, and it wasn't possible for all of them to have middle grade or even higher quality spiritual roots. Just a targeted lottery. Lu Changxing felt slightly disappointed seeing this lottery, as he had been looking forward to this milestone, hoping it would offer him an advanced level lottery or something of the sort. Targeted it is, then, but which category should I choose? Lu Changxing exhaled lightly, pondering which to draw. In the early years when a targeted lottery appeared, he leaned towards cultivation techniques. But now, after having drawn quite a few rewards from the system's various categories, he wasn't sure which one to choose. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know if report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 793, Emperor's Flow Liquid. By Ling's breakthrough in Foundation establishment. Since that's the case, let's use the process of elimination. First rule out cultivation techniques and magical treasures, then skills, and there's no rush with pet beasts either. Lu Changxing pondered silently in his heart. What he least lacked now was cultivation techniques. Although system cultivation techniques easily produced fine quality items, he really had no pressing need for them at the moment. Thanks to Xiaohe Wuo's sponsorship, he also temporarily lacked nothing in the way of magical treasures. As for skills, he did want a formation or artifact refining skill to make himself all-round, but the randomness was too great. Regarding pet beasts, Su Ruyan had been obedient and worked diligently as a tool, being used by Hong Lian for alchemy, artifact refining, and helping with formations. Lu Changxing also planned to get her a pet beast. But there was no hurry for such things, no need to waste his designated artifact draw for this alone. The randomness of elixir medicines is also too great, but treasures and other aspects seem not bad. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing made his decision. Though these two types of draws were also full of randomness, anything produced by the system was guaranteed to be fine quality. Especially in the other category, items such as Peach Blossom Goo, Hope Goo, Golden Armor Bean Mother, Seed of Law, Endless Guileful Head seemed very good to him. Since that's the case, I'll choose others then. After making his decision, Lu Changxing silently commanded, System, initiate the draw, specify other category. In an instant, the drawing interface appeared before his eyes. From the initial rotation of golden radiance between 7 areas, it transformed into a dazzling array of natural treasures. There were natural treasures, as well as alcohol, spiritual liquid, goo insects, corpse refining, puppets, and all sorts of chaos, along with a bunch of things that Lu Changxing couldn't recognize. One could only say that the other category encompassed far too many things. A moment later, the draw will stopped. Streams of golden, viscous liquid appeared, with the system prompt chiming in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Emperor's Nectar. Emperor's Nectar, what is this? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow at the prize he had drawn. Immediately, information about Emperor's Nectar appeared in the system space. Emperor's Nectar, rank, 3rd rank, description, the essence of the moon's energy from heaven and earth, which can bestow spirituality to flowers, plants, and trees, transforming them into demon plants. This pearly white luster combined with her mana, allowing Lu Changxing to discern the operational routes of the Black Dragon Codex, which, like Lu Maiage's Water of Virtue technique, showed certain inexplicable changes. Not only that, Lu Changxing noticed that Bai Ling's clear and smooth scales had taken on an additional and sudden quality of white gold at this very moment. Her white and delicate skin became even more flawless, fully on par with Lu Maiage's complexion. Hong Lian, what's happening here? Lu Changxing inquired of Hong Lian. The more he interacted with her, the more he realized that the little girl he had brought home was not simple. Young master. Bai Ling's condition is certainly due to awakening her demon race bloodline. The bloodline is reverting, it can't be wrong, but this bloodline is quite extraordinary, and I even suspect it's the bloodline of some sort of true spirit, Hong Lian said softly. True spirit bloodline. Lu Changxing was astonished to hear this. He was well aware that any demon beast with even a trace of a true spirit bloodline was extraordinary, essentially a heaven-ranked demon beast. And Bai Ling, being of the human race, having a true spirit bloodline was utterly astonishing, wasn't it? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 794, Emperor's Flow Liquid, Bai Ling's Breakthrough in Foundation Establishment _4" That's right, before I met the young master, I had never seen a true spirit-level demon beast. But in the world, one can still find some demon beasts with a diluted true spirit bloodline, or even members of the human race. I once heard that in the central continent, there are several major families with the true spirit bloodline flowing through their veins, known as true spirit families. Bai Ling might have a diluted true spirit bloodline in her body, but due to a mutation in the bloodline, she reverted to an ancestral form, thereby awakening some of the power of the bloodline. Hong Lian voiced her guess. True spirit families? Lu Changxing was somewhat surprised when he heard this. He could understand that some demon beasts possess a bit of the true spirit bloodline, but how could humans also have the true spirit bloodline running through their veins? He knew that the more powerful the demon beast and the higher the grade of its bloodline, the harder it was to transform. For a true spirit to transform, it would be extremely difficult. Moreover, it was already difficult for humans and the demon race to conceive offspring, let alone conceive without transformation. The mere thought of it was unimaginable. Are these true spirit families the descendants of humans and true spirits? Lu Changxing curiously asked. I'm not sure about that, I've only heard of the existence of such true spirit families. Hong Lian said softly. Alright, as long as it's not a bad thing, it doesn't matter. Sarch * the novel _fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing didn't pay too much attention to the issue of the true spirit bloodline. His examination with Hong Lian was also based on her previous statement that in Bai Ling's case, every time she made a breakthrough in a major realm, some of her bloodline's power would awaken, resulting in certain changes. It might be possible to discover something. After Bai Ling completed her transformation, Lu Changxing noticed that her blood had taken on a bit more of a platinum luster. He couldn't help but think that if the power of her bloodline continued to awaken, Bai Ling's blood, meridians, and bones might completely turn white. Brother, Bai Ling looked at Lu Changxing with her clear, peach-shaped eyes that were misty, shy, joyful, and expectant, and her voice was sweet and meltingly soft. Logically, after cultivating the Black Dragon Codex and breaking through to Foundation establishment, her transformation should convey a sense of majesty. But Bai Ling became even more innocently charming. She seemed ethereal and not of this world, yet every smile and gesture revealed seductive allure, enchanting and captivating, stirring one's mental spirit. Lu Changxing knew that Bai Ling's bloodline power was more powerful than the changes brought about by the cultivation technique. Even the cultivation technique adapted its flow to accommodate the power of her bloodline. Seeing her pure yet desirous face eagerly looking forward to his praise and reward, Lu Changxing enveloped her moist and tender lips without hesitation. His palm caressed her crystal clear and silky smooth skin that seemed flawless and as if it might burst with the gentlest touch. Although Bai Ling's scales had taken on more of a platinum color, the texture did not change. In fact, they felt even silkier and smoother to the touch. Along with the rustling sound, a graceful figure with a perfect shape emerged, wrapped in what seemed like a platinum scale armor. Her body was filled with demonic charm and primal instinct, inexplicably heating one's blood. Lu Changxing paid no mind to the existence of Hong Lian and the ancient beast taming charm. Initially, when he made his move on Su Ruyan, he would have Ling Zixiao or Lu Miaoyan take the ancient beast taming charm and leave. But later he gave it some thought and decided Hong Lian was not an outsider. Since she was there, why not? Doing all sorts of things to her chosen destined girl in front of Grandpa seemed to have its own unique flavor. Lu Changxing embraced Bai Ling's incredibly seductive waist. Only one who had experienced it could know how supple, slender, and tight it was, and how breathtaking it could be. Accompanied by a heart-stirring, soft moan, the flawless body undulated, and the platinum scales began to suffuse with a hint of pink, appearing dreamlike and illusory. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 795, The Tao Companion Ceremony, Heading to Jinyang Sect. _1 Bai Ling's breakthrough to Foundation establishment did not have a significant impact on Bai Lake Mountain. Or to put it another way, only Lu Changxing, Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaoyun, and a few others were aware of this development. Few knew that this girl, who usually seemed timid and preoccupied with her cultivation, lacking a sense of presence, had now become a foundation-building great cultivator. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After Bai Ling's breakthrough, Lu Changxing assigned her the task of nurturing the Blackwater Dragon's spirit weapon. She was to find Hong Lian every 10 to 15 days and use the mana of the Black Dragon to nurture the Dao soldier. Inside the cave dwelling of Changxing Hall, extract. Lu Changxing looked at the imperial syrup in the system space, and his mental spirit stirred slightly. Instantly, a basin-sized stone trough appeared. It contained a viscous liquid with a golden sheen. This liquid looked as if it had life, sometimes shining brilliantly like flowing light and at times moving quietly like a stream, emanating a rich scent of vitality. So this is the imperial syrup. Lu Changxing examined the imperial syrup in the stone trough. Through the system, he knew that this substance was formed gradually when the essence of the moonlight during the Gingshan night converged with the milky fluid from Millennium Clock stones. The basin of imperial syrup before him was incredibly rare, requiring at least hundreds of years to form. Speaking of which, I wonder if this imperial syrup has any effect on Zi Shao's dragon roar physique, Lu Changxing murmured to himself, thinking of Ling Zixio's condition. Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique was currently quite stable. But as she began cultivation, the issue was bound to re-emerge. Though it was possible to suppress it by plundering the origin source with the dragon invocation technique. From his previous hands-on experience, he knew the plundering was extraordinarily dangerous due to the potential backlash from the dragon roar origin. It had to be suppressed by some cold object, much like Nangong Meili's profound Yin Jade liquid from before. It's best to store some as a precaution. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing took out a purple jade gourd and filled it with nearly half of the imperial syrup. Through the system, he knew humans could consume the imperial syrup to aid in mana recovery and cultivation level enhancement. However, the effects were not as substantial as the improvement it offered to demons, ghosts, and other malign beings. Lu Qingzhu perked up upon hearing her brother's words, watched the central arena intently, and tilted her head, unsure of how he had reached his conclusion. However, shortly thereafter, a female cultivator of modest beauty dressed in Jinyang sect robes flew backward and crashed against the arena's spell formation barrier following her opponent's offensive. How about that, little Zhu, was I not right? Lu Qingshan wore a slightly smug expression. Brother is amazing. Lu Qingzhu looked surprised before vigorously nodding her head, eliciting hearty laughter from Lu Qingshan. Tianji peaks Zhao Guang wins. At that moment, the high-up executor in charge of supervising the competition announced the result. The youth known as Zhao Guang bowed to the air above before stepping down from the arena. The fallen female cultivator was taken to receive medical attention as per the arrangement by the medics at the side of the stage. Jin Yun peaks Yin Yan, Tian Yuan peaks Lu Qingshan. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 796, The Dao Companion Ceremony, Heading to Jinyang Sect. The presiding executor held the jade scroll, announcing without any expression on his face. Little Bamboo, watch your brother perform. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan stood up and walked towards the arena. Brother, be careful. Lu Qingzhu said with concern, making a cheering gesture. Ha, don't worry. Lu Qingshan, with a carefree expression, playfully tousled his little sister's hair, messing up her smooth locks. Though the siblings were only half a month apart in age, Lu Qingshan seemed much older. That's Lu Qingshan, Tian Yuan Elder's personal disciple. I've heard that Brother Lu has a Gingjin body constitution, but I don't know whether it's true or not. What a pity that he's only at the 6th level energy refinement, while Yin Yan is at the 8th level energy refinement, and comes from the renowned Yin family. He probably has a lot of fine magic artifacts, even talismans on him. For Lu Qingshan to have fought his way to this round at 6th level energy refinement shows his strength should not be underestimated. As a disciple of Elder Tian Yuan, Lu Qingshan mustn't lack in those either. I once heard that Jinyan Peak and Tian Yuan Peak don't get along well. I wonder if Yin Yen will strike with full force. Many onlookers turned their gazes toward Lu Qingshan and Yin Yen, who had stepped into the ring, chattering among themselves. At this point in the sword trial tournament, the preliminaries had passed and anyone who had made it this far possessed certain skills. Moreover, as one of only 2 disciples from Tian Yuan Peak in the Jinyang sect, Lu Qingshan had a bit of a reputation. As soon as he appeared, he caused a stir among the cultivators present. So you're Lu Qingshan. I've heard that when you were at 4th level energy refinement, you had the audacity to draw your sword against our Peak's disciples? Quite brave indeed. To show my respect, they'll take you seriously and hope you won't disappoint me. Yin Yen, dressed in the uniform of the Jinyang sect disciples, was tall and imposing, holding a jade-quality sword in his hand. The sword gleamed with an ever-changing light, at times dazzling, at times revealing its sharpness. Lu Qingshan responded indifferently with a light hum. The battle commenced only after the presiding executor overhead declared the beginning of the match. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Yin Yen formed a hand seal, causing a windless fog to rise on the platform, shrouding him in a thick mist. His flying sword disappeared into the mist and, accompanied by the rolling fog, attacked Lu Qingshan. Clang! A golden, dazzling magical sword appeared in Lu Qingshan's hand. He unleashed a sword chi that blocked the jade-quality flying sword coming at him through the air. Clang clang clang, the mist churned, and the flying sword emitted invisible sword chi that assailed Lu Qingshan, who kept parrying with his magical sword. Ha! Just then, Lu Qingshan let out a long howl, employing both the lion's roar skill and the sonic waves of spiritual power from his martial practices, sweeping out in a burst that shook Yin Yen. Sizzle sizzle. In an instant, Lu Qingshan's movement stirred up a breeze underfoot. Like a sharp blade of light, he tore through the air currents, closed in on Yin Yen, and unleashed a fiercely charged sword chi. Not good. Facing Lu Qingshan's onslaught, Yin Yen was startled and hurriedly maneuvered his flying sword to defend, activating his body-protecting chi barrier. He quickly pulled a talisman from inside his robe and activated it. In an instant, a golden light barrier formed around him. A superior grade talisman, the Golden Light Barrier Talisman. That's really bullying. He's already higher in cultivation and now he's using a superior grade talisman. It's nice to have money. If my family were rich enough to give me a few talismans, I wouldn't have been eliminated in the preliminaries. But Lu Qingshan's recent move, it seems like he also practices body refinement. No, it's not body refinement. Given his moves and sword techniques, they bear traces of mundane martial arts. I reckon he has trained in secular martial practices. Many of the surrounding disciples who witnessed the scene began discussing aloud. Go! Having secured his position with the Golden Light Barrier Talisman, Yin Yen manipulated hand seals and continued to send his magical sword at Lu Qingshan. Golden Light Barrier Talisman, as if a Golden Light Bodyguard charm would be more appropriate for you. Lu Qingshan sneered, his magical sword parried the incoming magical sword. Then he howled, "Break for me." In that moment, the spiritual power in his body roared to life, spreading out as he broke through from 6th level energy refinement to 7th level energy refinement. His golden magical sword shone brilliantly, its edge keen and fierce, tearing open the golden light barrier in front of him. This. Yin Yen was shocked and immediately pulled out 2 more talismans from his chest, intending to activate them. But in that instant, the golden light barrier and body-protecting chi barrier around him shattered. A golden magical sword was placed at his throat, sending a chill down his spine as if pain was about to ensue. He said incredulously, "How is this possible? How could you break through the golden bell shield talisman and the body-protecting chi barrier so quickly?" Because I've made a breakthrough. The energy refinement late stage also has its differences. Don't use your own strength to measure mine, and remember to use a golden light bodyguard charm next time. Lu Qingshan's expression was indifferent as he spoke calmly. Tian Yuan Peak, Lu Qingshan, wins. The expressionless executor in the air showed a hint of surprise, nodding slightly before announcing the result. SSS, a breakthrough in the heat of battle? And from middle stage to energy refinement late stage at that. 6th level defeated 8th level? He must have been on the verge of a breakthrough for a while but chose not to. Now, utilizing his full strength naturally led to overcoming the bottleneck. This is very risky. If he hadn't been able to break through Yin Yan's defenses just now and had been defeated and injured, it might have affected his meridians. I've heard that he has a Gengjin body constitution and practices sword techniques, following the path of sword cultivators. This must be the confidence of a sword cultivator, refining his blade through battle after battle, hence revealing the sword heart edge. TSK, Brother Lu really is bold. S.E.A. the novel, F. Iyer. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Many in the audience voiced their comments upon seeing this battle, and many would remember the name Lu Qingshan. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.